Black Ops 1 Zombies ended off with a bang, with the last of the moon Easter egg blowing up the Earth. How was Zombies gonna continue? Because the Earth is all blown up and everything, there's no way the zombie storyline could continue, right? Well, that will be answered in BO2, since BO1 became one of the most popular solo Call of Duties ever, and a lot of people were introduced to zombies and saw to the end of the moon Easter egg either doing it by themselves or seeing it online on YouTube. So everyone naturally was going to be hyped for Black Ops 2, but how are they going to continue it? Like I said earlier, the Earth is blown up, Richthofen is in control of the zombies, and Maxis blew up the Earth, forever contaminating with 115. So possibly there's going to be a new zombie storyline, right? Well, no. In Black Ops 2, it continues the same storyline with Richthofen in control. We saw the trailers in reflection of that. Like one of the most famous live action trailers, we see the zombies have blue eyes, which continues on Richthofen's control of the zombies. And we get the first trailer for Tranzit, one of the most highly ambitious zombies maps ever. And due to this, because Black Ops 1 did so well in the sales, Black Ops 2 got a bigger budget for the zombies team, which in turn became its own unique mode that will forever be a staple in Treyarch Zombies and other future Call of Duty titles that try to replicate the same sales factor as Black Ops 1 but couldn't do as much. Future Zombies titles can never get the same feeling as Treyarch Zombies, and especially the old feeling. Either would be with the story or the terrifying factor. This will be my last video of what made old zombies terrifying for Treyarch, as BO2 was the last, well, to me in my opinion, the last truly terrifying zombies ever. Since with a bigger budget, zombies was going to evolve forever now. Since Black Ops 1 jumped the shark, now Black Ops 2 was going to continue on that factor. And we could see this with the first map with Transit. But before I get into the map of Transit, to describe and show the main menu. For Black Ops 1, it already immersed us with that main menu, and Black Ops 2 does the same. Just like with the Black Ops 2 menu, we're already immersed with zombies, as now it's a full-fledged different main menu as you when you go to click on it or press on it, and we can see the main menu to the fullest. With again the iconic zombie song in the background, but this time a more updated version that fits in with Black Ops 2, as I think this is one of the best versions of the zombie songs ever in Treyarch Zombies. We see that we're in space, where we left off the moon Easter egg, and we see the asteroids orbiting around something. We get the fullest picture when we press play, and we get to the fullest of what happened to the Earth. And our actions have consequences from the moon Easter egg. Earth is broken. When we see the asteroids, they're not coming from space, they're coming from the Earth, as again, the moon Easter egg left a giant hole in the Earth's crust, and it cracked it open and exposed the core. So most of these asteroids are coming down, raining upon the Earth, and to the survivors that are still lucky enough to survive. Now, it is a full-on zombie apocalypse. On is the small outbreaks from Black Ops 1 and World at War. Now the whole world is covered by 115 and has infected the whole entire Earth. Now the survivors are left off to fend off Richtofen's control of the zombies. Told me menu reflects the full-on zombie apocalypse for BO2. Gone is the small outbreaks. Now it is the full-on fledged zombie apocalypse. Zombies theme song when you hear in the background adds on to the flair of a more apocalyptic feeling, and even too in some random bouts we hear Samantha's laugh. To me, I think the Black Ops 2 Zombies main menu is more iconic than Black Ops 1. I just always have a nostalgic feeling over Black Ops 2, especially for the map selection too. Now for some people might not like it, but I always love that when you click on the main menu to select the maps, the whole globe shows itself and then you can move it around to select what map you want to play. I always like this main menu design. And it shows us more how bad the Earth has been damaged after the moon Easter egg, as now there's lava flowing around from the Earth's core. And also, I know this is probably a design choice, but it could also seem like the world's covered in fog or in this black smoke due to the Earth's crust being open. Just to a little hidden detail, you could cause the Earth to shake a little bit if you move around fast enough. But enough with that little detail, I want to get into the first map. One of the most infamous maps as it's both loved and hated at the same time, but I'm not going to be talking about that. I'm mostly talking about what made these old games terrifying, as Black Ops 2 will be my last one talking about the terrifying factor. Think of it as a more nostalgic feel to it, of what made it scary to us as a kid. And due to this, I'm going to be looking through the lens when it released, which was back in 2012, which we didn't fully understand full of the zombie storyline yet, and that those answers will be revealed in Black Ops 3 and later future titles. So yeah, we're looking through the perspective of 2012 when the lore was still at its young age and there were still so much mysteries. I think this added on to the terrifying factor. It was more of an unknown feeling that we couldn't get to the full answers yet. Just putting in the context, because our World at War and Black Ops 1, we got answers to some of the lore and some of the comments, but like, I'm going through the lens of when the games releases. This air of mystery and lore added on, again, I'm gonna keep saying it, to the terrifying factor. And for some time, this will never be replicated. It only stuck for old Treyarch Zombies and never in the future titles, with some small liberties of having it, but not to the full extent of old Zombies. But enough of me yapping about the context. We're gonna go into the first map. Are there survivors from the Earth surviving in this new destroyed world? And we see that with Transit. The environment captures the destruction of Earth. Hell on Earth. That's what perfectly describes the environment for Transit. But instead of demons, it's more of zombies taking on more of the apocalyptic feel of it. But from the actions of the Moon Easter egg, we can fully see the full destruction of what the rockets did to the Earth. And Transit perfectly replicates that. Certain areas around the map are filled with magma and lava. And all of this comes from the Earth's core thanks to the rockets breaking open the Earth. And it is incredibly unlucky to the survivors who survived after the rockets broke open the Earth. So it causes a great fire around the Earth. As we can see in Transit, a big fog covers the majority of the area. Of course, this is for design purposes as Transit is more of an open world field, but I always like to think that this fog was adding on to the scariness as now, full-fledged zombie apocalypse. The Earth is broken and we are stuck on this broken homeworld, trying to fend off the undead. This was once a lively town, but now it is gone due to the rockets and everything else going on in the world. So this is not one of the few places that's infected. The whole world is infected by 115, and so the zombies come out of the ground and are more in droves instead of the small outbreaks we had on Black Ops 1 and at War.org. And well, I like to say this is a full-fledged zombie apocalypse. And I like this take of a unique zombie apocalypse caused by the rockets, not just a regular a virus comes out and affects everyone. I always like this take of zombie apocalypse. This one's more scary to it. As well, it gives a full-on reason why society has collapsed overall, because it's thanks to the rockets cracking open the Earth, as there's no way humanity could survive if the Earth were to be cracked open. Yeah, as we go on deeper into the map, we have to ride the bus to go around to certain areas around the map. And as we get up to these locations, we can see a lot of embers and a lot of ash falling down around us. But back to the bus thing, because this was a unique take for Black Ops 2 Zombies. Now for some people, they didn't like these parts about the map. The fire, which I can understand because it slows you down and can cause you to get killed if you're not paying attention. And also to cause the zombies to explode and mess up your monkey bombs and grenades. I understand that why people don't like this map, because that's a certain good critique of that map, of the fire being around the whole, practically everywhere. But another thing about the fog that people don't like is the denizens. Yeah, at first they were scary enough, but then they just get annoying if you keep going to the fog. Me, I always like to describe this fog feeling almost like Silent Hill. I haven't played the Silent Hill franchise yet, but I understand the fog is like one of the most scary aspects in the old Silent Hill games. And I think Black Ops 2 kinda replicates that, as the more you go deeper to the fog, it gets more dark and more denizens come out. And the only way to avoid these denizens is if you go onto the bus, or if you go into the well-lit areas that is not covered by the fog. Back to the uniqueness of Black Ops 2, as now there's a parts mechanic system to it. We can build certain parts or certain traps around the map. Of course, I didn't build all the traps, I only built the turbine. This added uniqueness to Black Ops 2 Zombies. Now for some people, they didn't like that you had to build parts, which I can understand. Some of them can be a little bit useless, as you only really need the turbine and that's it. But still, nonetheless, it was still fun to build these things and find the parts around the map. So we traverse around this map using the bus to get to the one final location of where we can build the power. As we buy the door and we go down, we see this weird lab, and it's full of whiteness, as this is like a really pristine lab, and why is it almost like this color? But we'll get an answer to that as when we build the power and turn it on and we see this, the Avogadro.
Skills on display. Behold the glory of science! Beautiful. What type of creature could thrive in such an environment?
And as the power completely turns on, we see the Avogadro escape. This whole being made of lightning, and it's linked to the zombies too. Even when you go outside, the whole environment changes, as in certain areas the sky lights up with lightning, as it signals that he's gonna spawn after that round ends. This is one of the unique zombie bosses for Black Ops 2 and in zombies in general. And of course too, he has a badass name, the Avogadro. At first he's kinda hard, but he's kind of a pushover if you have EMP grenades or Galva Knuckles. He's kinda easy to beat. But at first when I was a kid, he was like one of the most titular bosses I could even beat. I had no clue how to fight him, and he always usually kick my ass. Especially too, there was one time when I was used to play with my friends that we were trying to get on the bus to escape the Avogadro, but instead he disables the bus and he killed all of us. It's kind of funny and scary at the same time, as his beam of energy just kicks our ass most of the time. But of course, I've grown over the years and know how to beat him. So he's really more of a pushover and not really that scary. But the first time, he was really surprising too. Of course, the mysteries ran wild. Who was this person and what is he doing here and how is he linked to all of this? Of course, we get answered to that later in Black Ops 4, but right now we're still up in the mystery for Black Ops 2 as we're looking through that lens from 2012. We still don't know who the guy is, and we're still not going to get answers to it in the later DLCs. And so that's what the whole deal with the whole map, as it's basically hell on earth. That's basically gist of this, as I could barely explain it in one term. But I forgot to mention, because we're not playing the old Zombies crew, we're playing the new crew called the Victus crew. We have Marlston, Samuel, Misty, and Russman. And these guys are going to be forever the crew in Black Ops 2 with the future maps. But of course, many people didn't like this crew as they wanted the old crew better. I always liked the Victus crew. I don't know, it's probably my nostalgia playing with my mind, but I always thought these were a good alternative to the main Zombies crew. Yeah, it would have been nice to have the main Zombies crew back in Black Ops 2, but I think these guys are a nice alternative to that bunch. But yeah, the moon Easter egg is still rampant. Richtofen is in control of the zombies. The zombies have blue eyes, and even when you pick up the power-up, Richtofen's voice reflects that too.
Excuse me, just getting used to the ether. Please have a good surprise. Right. Max ammo.
Sometimes he's still getting used to being the new announcer. Gone is Samantha, now is Richtofen. But like for the moon Easter egg, Richthofen is not fully controlled. He doesn't have a full control of the zombies. Even though he's still in control of the pyramid and the zombies reflect his eyes, he can't fully control them, all of them. And then so he needs our help. Well, mostly Stuhlinger's help, as Stuhlinger did something heinous that the other members don't know what he did yet, as he's the only one that can hear Richthofen. The others don't hear it, it's only Stuhlinger. But due to that, Richthofen is another enemy, and again, it's Maxis. Maxis is still trying to stop Richthofen from the full control of the zombies. Though he really screwed us over in the moon Easter egg, probably this time he won't screw us over again, as he really wants to save us, and save the Earth. So we have two choices, as now a cold war is going on with Richthofen and Maxis. We can either help Richthofen, or we can help Maxis. It's up to your choice for the Easter eggs now. There are two different ones that we can do. Possibly we can save the Earth with Maxis, or we can give Richthofen full control. It's up to our choice. But that's for the Easter egg portion. But before I get to the Easter egg portion, I want to talk about the radios, as Black Ops 2 continues on with the radios. And for most of these radios, they're haunting. I'm going to play all of them and I'll have a timestamp. And I have the timestamp if you want to hear them all, or do you want to skip to me yapping about what happened with the radios. It's more of a little bit summary, as it more reflects around the world. But then so, here are the radios for Transit.
What has occurred cannot be undone. However, I realize the calculations were made in haste and could potentially threaten the entire globe. That was not the intent. I considered a possible plan B should this occur, but this plan would consist of creating global polarization devices that would... It appears I have difficulty speaking. Devices when the power... Shut the power... me. Hello. This is Jackass Flats, calling any human community within broadcasting distance. We're located at standard map coordinates 37 degrees, 07 north, 116 degrees, 03 west. This is a warning to anyone contacted by a group of mysterious voices. Several of our party began to hear the voices, and their competing instructions and incompatible demands drove a wedge down the center of the camp. Half of the camp is carrying out the demands of only through electronic. This voice is a big, long, and its ultimate goals unclear. The other voice cannot be heard by humans who have not been on the long madness this way lies. Neither of these instruction sets will understand. Those of us who have not chosen a side have been hunted by both sides, seeking to force us to assist them. Oh God, they found us! Oh! Get back! You get stuck! What's that? Who's there? Yes, I can hear you. Fresh. Of course I have. There's nothing else. No, I won't do that. How do I know you're not lying? You could be making all that up, huh? Well, sure, that only makes sense. Dude. But... No, I see. Sure. Really? But they're my friends. Yes. Of course I see now. I'll do it. I'll do it for you. For you and the flesh. Hello? Hello? Are you there? We have activated the spire as you instructed, but the shamblers are swarming our location, and we can't hold out against their superior numbers for long without aid. Hello? Please, come in. It is vital that you instruct us on that... You think you're so smart, huh? You think you can manipulate everybody into doing what you want, but we know the truth. Oh, your calculating works and your sinister agents? You mean to destroy this planet and kill us all? We're not gonna help. No way, no how. So yeah, you keep talking. But no one's gonna hear you because we're destroying everything. Everything electronic, starting with this evil radio box thing. Voice! Come in, unidentified electronic voice. We've been attempting to activate your spire as instructed, but one of our members began hearing the other voice you warned us about. He turned on the rest of us and shot one member of our crew and wounded another before we restrained him. Hello? Hello? Damn this thing! Why doesn't it answer when we call it? Hello?
With all the radios done, we hear with the first message that it's Maxis, as he messed up with the first plan with the moon Easter egg as it really didn't stop Richthofen. And so he goes with plan B, and he contacts the survivors on the Earth to help him create these devices to stop Richthofen. Also too, it gives a little hint on the Easter egg we need to do to help Maxis' side, as we have to turn off the power. But we're still going off the radios. As the messages continue on with the second message, which talks about the survivor. The thing with the coordinates he gives, I think he's around NukeTown. But anyways, he gives a warning about the mysterious voices, and he's talking about Richthofen and Maxis, as you can hear them through the electronics, with mostly Maxis' side. As for Richthofen, only some certain people can hear about him. This starts a cold war with the rest of the survivors. Do you help Maxis or do you help Richthofen? And you have to choose a side, as some other people are killing other people who are neutral, forcing them or either disposing them easily. As both Maxis and Richthofen instruct the survivors on what to do to help out their own plans. For this survivor, I think he is killed by the Avogadro, as you can hear electric sounds in the background. And so for the third message, as we hear a man talking to Dr. Edward Richtofen. We can hear whispers in the background, as only he can hear him, no one else. And of course, Richthofen's giving him instructions on what to do and to kill his other friends, as they're probably helping Maxis. And so this survivor does, as he talks about the flesh, as this is another hint. There's been groups that have been cannibalizing on the zombies, and this is how people are only hearing Richthofen, as if you eat the flesh, you're able to have a link to Richthofen, and that's how you're able to hear him. Also too, that's why Stuhlinger is able to hear him. We get the full answer to that in the next map for Rise, but right now we're on Tranzit. And so with the fourth message, we hear the radio that some of the survivors, or one guy, managed to build one spire for Maxis' side. And then so he's more of a pawn, as Maxis stops refusing to talk to this guy. He already did his actions and that's it. He just left them there to die. Any other instructions as the zombies surround these guys. And so we go to the fifth message, where I think it's the same guy or probably one of the members, as he's drunk. As he's talking about Maxis, as he's manipulating everyone, as he's using these survivors as pawns to stop Richthofen no matter what, at the cost of these survivors. And so the man in the drunken rage destroys the radio, and that's the last bits of what you can hear about him, as he talks about Maxis as he's betraying everyone. And then so we go to the final message of the map. This group, they're trying to go with Maxis' plans and activating the spire. One of the members attempts to stop them, as you can hear Richthofen's voice as he warns about Maxis to the others, and in turn he kills one of the members. And for this guy, he seeks to attempt to seek more instructions from Maxis, but he doesn't get anything. Maxis doesn't really care about the survivors, he only wants to stop Richthofen no matter what. And so, those are all the radio messages for Transit. It shows a reflection of what's going on after the moon Easter egg, as many groups are locked in a cold war between Maxis and Richthofen, trying to stop each other by using the rest of the survivors, create these devices to help each other out. But, of course, they both don't care, they only care about power. But probably Maxis is not being manipulative, he actually probably wants to help the world. right? And so we're gonna start with the Easter egg, with the first side for Maxis' side. Quick disclaimer or quick note, like with Black Ops 1 Zombies, I nearly lost my mind doing all the Easter eggs on solo for Black Ops 2. I kept crashing, so I had to keep doing the beginning steps of the Easter egg, and until I crashed I had to redo it again. So this was naturally frustrating. And I naturally cheated as I played mostly all the Easter eggs on God mode. So there's a quick disclaimer, I didn't do all these Easter eggs legit. And also too, it's not really legit because I had to download the solo mod in order to do most of these Easter eggs. So yeah, it's not really legit. Now with the later maps, you'll see how frustrating it gets when I talk about for those Easter eggs for those maps. As for me, I thought Tranzit would be the longest one, and I was wrong. It was Origins that was the longest one, and that one broke my mind as I crashed around step 3, in which you had to get hit by the robot's foot and throw it at the special spot. And I waited for so many rounds for the robot's foot to light up, and it never did. But back to Tranzit. We have two sides for the Easter eggs. The first one I'm going to show is Maxis' side, as in the beginning part you can hear him with the voice talking about what we need to do. I'm going to show the footage and play some of the quotes of what we need to do. I'm not going to show every step, I'm just going to skim through it, because most of the Easter eggs are kind of pretty straightforward, as they're not exactly to the ones of Black Ops 1 where they were long and a lot of quotes. But of course, Tranzit was one of the first ones that took a long time for me to complete. For the Maxis side, I played as the normal characters. I didn't play as Stuhlinger, I only played Stuhlinger for Richtofen so we could hear his quotes. But for Maxis, he helps instructs us on what we need to do. And so we have to power on a tower, as this Easter egg is called the Tower of Babel. For Maxis' side, we have to activate the power and let the Avogadro out, and we have to turn off the power.
Excellent! You have freed it! But now, you must turn off the power. An active power will disrupt all communications between us and make it impossible to accomplish the mission I have for you. Shut down the power.
We need the Avogadro to power up a certain pylon around in the fields, and it's around the cornfields.
There's power! We need more of it!
Also too, there's a little hidden area in the cornfields too. There's NukeTown. What's this place doing here? It's a cool Easter egg as it has to use a part for one of the jet pieces as for Richthofen Easter egg, but it's still kind of cool Easter egg you have NukeTown here. Even though it was placed in Germany, but that doesn't matter. And also too, thanks to the solo mod, this makes this Easter egg really easy to do, despite it crashing most of the time. And so we need the Avogadro to fully power on the tower. So naturally, we lead them to the tower with the 2 turbines in the back, or 1 turbine in the back, because thanks to the solo mod you only need 1. And we need to kill them. And by doing this, we can use the EMP grenade. And then so right after we kill the Avogadro, we fully power on the tower for Maxis' side, as it glows orange in his color, showing significantly that we completed this step for his side. And so we're still 1 step closer in stopping Richthofen for Maxis' side, as we still need to do it for the other maps with the Victus crew. Most of the Easter eggs are kinda simple, but they take a long time to do, as you have to traverse through the fog and the denizens really slow you down. And it was really annoying to do. And so that's with Maxis' side with the Easter egg for Tranzit. Now we're gonna go on to Richthofen side, as we need to play Stuhlinger to hear full of his quotes. And so for Richthofen side, only Stuhlinger is only able to hear them, as he hears many quotes, and again like with Maxis, I'm gonna play some of them, or most of them. And again like with the radios, Richthofen warns Stuhlinger not to help Maxis, only help Richthofen.
Ah, good job! Wunderbar! You've done well, my friend. But this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Of your group, you are the only one who seems to be able to hear me. So you must convince your deaf friends to heat up the obelisk. Setting a puny fire will not be enough. It must reach an extreme temperature. Now, if only you know how to build a portable engine of some sort, which might grow very hard. Some sort of jet engine with an afterburner? Oh, what, you do? Oh, goody, goody. So, why are you still standing here listening to voices in your head? Get to it, Schweinhund, or Maxis will kill you all!
For this Easter egg, we need to first complete the jet gun, one of the first wonder weapons in Tranzit. One of the best, and one of the worst wonder weapons in Zombies history. When you use it to the fullest, it breaks apart, and then you have to rebuild it again. But it's very good at killing zombies. But yes, we need to create the jet gun in order to complete step 1 for Richthofen. So we turn on the power, go to the same tower again, and we have to shoot the jet gun on where the nav card table is in order to complete the first step. And after that is done, we have to kill zombies under the pylon or under the tower, as it helps get Richthofen more energy with the dead. This energy is 115 as the zombies are completely full of it thanks to the moon Easter egg as everything is infected with 115. And so with that step done, we have to do one last one that completes Richthofen step Easter egg for Transit. And so we go to one of the lampposts that's shining green, which is near the bus depot, and we throw an EMP grenade at it. Well, for the solo mod I had to only do it once, so it was kind of easy to do. For co-op it's a little bit hard because you need 4 other people with EMP grenades and go to each different lamppost in order to throw some of the EMP grenades onto it. But with that, you complete the Richtofen Easter egg. And then so the tower glows blue, which is his color. And so those are the 2 Easter eggs for Transit. You can go with either or, for either Maxis or Richthofen. It's up to you who you want to side with. I think canon-wise, after this, I think Maxis is the most canon-wise that we mostly help him out. But still in the end, I'm still going to show both sides for Buried and Die Rise. But yeah, with those 2 Easter eggs, it's added more mystery. How are these towers or Easter eggs supposed to stop Richthofen or even help Maxis? As for Richthofen, he's still on the pyramid for the moon, and also too, what happened to the old crew? Are they still alive or are they dead? Of course, we'll get a later answer onto this till later on to the game series, but we're not sure of it as yet in Black Ops 2's timeline. But now I'm going to add some extra stuff to Transit, as with the environment too, as I forgot to include in the early portion. But as more of an extra, as around the map you can hear weird whispers around the map. Very faint, but they're there, which adds on to the creepiness to it. And also too, some of the zombies' appearances reflect some of the design of Transit. As also too, there's some of them that wear sanitarium outfits, almost like insane asylum outfits. And also too, medical and the regular stuff for like a regular town, as these are zombies that are just recently churned. I think that's all I have to say for Transit. One of the most infamous maps that it's both loved and hated, with some, especially with some good critiques, like for example the Pack-a-Punch in the regular Transit mode. I didn't mention this earlier, but you have to build a Pack-a-Punch, and in order to get it, it's kind of a really tedious way. It's kind of annoying to unlock Pack-a-Punch on this map, as you have to go back to the power room and put turbine down, and then you gotta go all the way back to the bank in order to open Pack-a-Punch, and then you have to build it. So it's kind of annoying. But still to this day, Transit is one of the most loved and hated maps in COD history. But for Transit, it was kind of an okay start for the new crew, for the Victus crew, as some people didn't like them and some people did. And for some people, they didn't like some of the massive changes that Black Ops 2 do with collecting parts. To me, I thought it was alright. It didn't change that much and it was still the regular old zombies. But also too, you were not just focused on Transit, there was other maps like Town Survival, which mostly everyone played for the beginning parts of zombies. And so for naturally, during the next Victus crew's next journey, we'll go for the next DLC for Die Rise. But before that, there is a pre-order bonus for Black Ops 2 in which, well, we get NukeTown Zombies. And so to the bad transition where I go talk about NukeTown Zombies for a little bit. NukeTown Zombies. NukeTown Zombies was a surprise addition to the zombie storyline. For Black Ops 2, it's introduced as a survival map, but it's more important as it fits in with the lore later on as I talk about it more. But I'm going to talk about the environment first. This environment is one of the most coolest backdrops ever, as this map takes place after a recent nuclear test. And we can see the mushroom cloud in the background, or well in the foreground, as we can see it to the fullest. And this isn't the first time we see a nuke up this close, as the last time was back in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. But this time this one's different, as we're not really dying from radiation poisoning. We're mostly dying from the zombies trying to kill us. But still, this is one of the most coolest environments ever, as you can see the green uranium rain down, and also to some of the ash from the nuclear bomb coming down from the mushroom cloud, which is really cool but totally unrealistic, but still one of the most coolest backdrops ever. And even too, if you go to around the edge of the map, you can see how big this crater is, of how big this nuclear bomb was. And also too, the houses and everything, the ground and everything reflects the same effects of what happened of when the nuclear bomb went off. Houses are almost nearly destroyed, covered in fire, and the ground is cracked up as it's due to the effects of the big crater caused by the nuclear bomb. And also too, if you look outside the environment, you see a lot of fire tornadoes. Well, they're mini fire tornadoes, but still another cool addition to the map. So too, if you go deeper into the houses, you can see how much of the radiation has effect inside the houses, as some areas are green, and also too, you can see the classic Fallout or nuclear apocalypse when you see cockroaches on the wall in one of the houses. This reflects a full-on nuclear test. But what makes it different is now there's zombies coming outside most of everything of broken down barriers, and also too out of the ground. And the unique thing about this map is that some of the perk missions and the Pack-a-Punch machine can come down flying from the sky from the mushroom cloud. Some people didn't like this, as you could get Pack-a-Punch at round 5 and you could get Jug at round 25, in which in earlier rounds you really need it. And so some people find it really annoying. Always like how Treyarch did a twist on this iconic map, I know it's a reused asset, but still it's a unique take on NukeTown. But back to the storyline of how NukeTown fits into the timeline. Because the weird thing about this is that the zombies have yellow eye colors, like when Samantha Maxis is in control. This map takes place during the events of the moon, as in one of the TVs you can hear radio and Richthofen, as we can hear the events of the moon Easter egg going on the TV.
I know I shouldn't fit in an egg-moving robot. Stupid accent!
As he's in the beginning parts of the Easter egg when he's gonna switch his minds to Samantha Maxis to take over the pyramid and take over the zombies.
This is going to be so much fun! Finally we can confront this ancient beast! Quickly, power up the machine!
So that's how we get the answer of why Samantha Maxis is still in control, as she's still the announcer for the beginning parts of the map. There is other Easter eggs here too, because when you go to the bunker and knife it, you can hear Marlton. It might be a little bit hard to hear him as I'm using game audio and he's talking really muffled. But trust me, he's inside the bunker. He's during the events of NukeTown. And also too, later on the map you can hear the transit bus horn too. But back to Richthofen's TV messages. As you continue on the rounds, you can still hear the events of the moon Easter egg going on.
Password? Unknown, but that's why no one would get it.
And it happens at random, as you can hear more quotes from the moon Easter egg going on. If you manage to make it around round 24, something cool really happens. Richthofen just took over Samantha Maxis, and in round 25, zombies' eye colors finally change. They have Richthofen's eye color, they're blue now. And 2, he now becomes the announcer for the rest of the game, after round 25. This is one of the unique maps that ever done this. There's another map that does it too in Black Ops 2, but that's more of a spoiler for an Easter egg, and I'll talk about that too later on in the video. I think that's about it for NukeTown Zombies. It's pretty self-explanatory with the environment. It takes place after a recent nuclear test, and well, that's about it. Of course, there's still some weird parts about the map, especially when you hear the weird gong noise after you kill enough zombies, 99 zombies. As a kid, I didn't know what this meant. I thought it was just a weird counter just to do it, but all it does is just change the power up and back on one of the houses. That's all it does. But yeah, that's NukeTown Zombies. But another unique thing about this map is that when you die, this happens. And then so fully concludes the whole moon event, as this is one of the rockets that comes from the moon Easter egg and it lands down on NukeTown, and in turns blows up the whole map. But we don't see it as it goes continuing on with the timeline as we go to Transit. But that's enough about NukeTown Zombies, a small short survival map that had a little impact on the zombie storyline, which was kind of cool. And then so that concludes the 2 basic maps that came with launch for Black Ops 2. Of course, for NukeTown Zombies you had to pre-order it. And then so there wasn't that much player base for NukeTown Zombies. But there was a lot for the transit map for town survival. For that one's more simple to do and more simple to play. For some people, they either went back to Black Ops 1 during around this time, as the Black Ops 2 maps are kinda complex. Like, Transit was really complex for the time, as it was the first one in the Black Ops 2 map that changed most of the zombies forever. Now to me, I kept on playing Black Ops 2, but mostly on town, and sometimes Transit with some of my friends. Enough with the 2 base maps for Black Ops 2. Now we're gonna go on to the first DLC. Rise, as we continue on with the Victor's crew and how do we stop Richthofen or help him along the way. And then so we go to the first DLC, Rise, the next Victor's crew's next journey into the zombie storyline. But I think for Rise, it's not really a well-rounded map, as I think many people hate it more than Transit. But I'll explain that later when I talk about the environment for the map. As for Rise, there's a little cutscene at the beginning, and I'm gonna show it because you can only see it during solo. It's like with the radios for Transit, I'm gonna have a timestamp if you want to me skipping about the yapping of the summary of what happened in the cutscene.
I don't understand. Why are you doing this? Why me? Travel where? Don't you get it? There's nothing left! Oh, how did you... What? What do you mean, mend the rift? Well, maybe I don't wanna. Huh? Did you think of that? Oh, you can't tell them about the flesh. What I did, they'd kill me if they knew. Ah, shit!
If you're gonna talk to your imaginary friends, Stu, you might want to wait till you're in a Z-free zone.
Stupider! Get over here, now! Come on, come on!
What do we do now?
We arm up, find a good place to defend, kick ass, that's it.
I don't understand.
What are you talking about, Stuhlinger? Misty made it pretty clear.
Accept your fate. Begin anew.
We're going down! We're going down! Fight!
Have we been here before?
So for the cutscene for Die Rise, the Victus crew from all the way from Transit gets teleported to China, more specifically Shanghai. And Edward Richtofen did this. He's speaking to Stuhlinger, as Stuhlinger is the only one to hear him, as we get a reveal that Stuhlinger was part of a group that ate the zombie's flesh, and that's how he's able to hear Richtofen. And just like with Transit, Richtofen's trying to tell Samuel what to do, as he says mend the rift, and Samuel has no clue what he's talking about. And it's up to you again if you want to mend the rift on the Richthofen side or on Maxis' side. But back to the cutscene, because apparently Richthofen still has a little bit of powers left, as he was able to transport the Victus crew from all the way from America all the way to China. This place has a certain device that can help Richtofen or Maxis. What gets weird about this is that Russman dies in the cutscene as he's killed by one of the special crawlers for Die Rise, ensuring the rest of the crew members die, as Richthofen says you're finally able to understand them, as before you were not able to understand them. As he says, accept your fate, begin anew. And then so Richtofen reactivates his powers, and he puts them back at the beginning start of the starting room for Die Rise. And Stuhlinger recognizes as he remembers the familiar setting. It's almost like a cycle. Which is funny because the last time a cycle was mentioned was back all the way at Shangri-La, and Die Rise shares that same cycle with these crew members. But it shows that Richtofen really needs his crew members, because he doesn't do with any other survivors, only just these guys. And also too, we still see the Earth that's still in the state as it is, that's still cracked open, and also too, the zombie apocalypse is still going on. But yeah, we're in Die Rise now, we're in Shanghai, as we're on top of the skyscrapers now. This was such a cool concept for a map idea, but in execution it was really annoying, as there's a lot of ways to die from fall damage on this map, and in some areas it can get really confusing of where you need to go. But still a cool concept for the map. We have to jump to building to building going through these skyscrapers, which are basically almost gonna fall down on top of us, of how much damage they've been through. And most likely most of this damage was done by the earth being cracked open, as it probably messed with tectonic plates and caused a lot of earthquakes around the world. Or you can attribute to some of the meteors that are coming down from the sky. And also too, this comes from the earth's crust, as on this map if you look in the background and the backdrop, you can see some of the meteors raining down. And there's a bunch of it, as most of the earth's crust made its own little mini ring around the world. It just shows that how much the earth has been really damaged, as we can see more of it from Transit, but now Die Rise has shown more of it too. It's possible other areas around the world are experiencing the same thing as Die Rise and Transit. Again, I would like to say this is a really cool concept, as you can see a lot of destroyed buildings in the distance and nearby us too. Going to the nearly destroyed buildings feels like a claustrophobic feel. So like I said earlier, it almost feels like the buildings are going to come down right on top of us. And especially in this one section as the building's upside down and we're almost standing on top of the ceiling. Or well, the ceiling becomes the ground for us. And what else doesn't help is that when you turn on the power, we have to go ride these elevators. And the only way to go in the upper levels or go back to the starting room is by riding these elevators. These elevators are another complaint for a lot of people that don't like this map, as sometimes it can be confusing and you can get killed by the elevators if you're not paying attention enough. But still, a lot of people hate that you have to jump around and can nearly die from all the fall damage in this map, as there's no PhD flopper, as they tease us during that one section of the map when you go down in the elevator to access the bank. The PhD flopper is there, but you can't access it as there's an invisible wall and there's no way of getting it. It's just a glimpse of PhD flopper and that's it. Kind of an a-hole way to tease us like that. Yeah, that's most of the environment for Die Rise, just don't fall off the rubble or else you're gonna fall to your death. If you don't die by that, well, you're gonna die by the zombies getting you. And also too, the zombies reflect the environment too, as we're in Asia now, and more specifically we're in China now. Even too, some of the zombies that are wearing the military armor, they reflect it too, as they're from the faction of the SDF from Black Ops 2 campaign. I know to reuse acid, but it's kinda scary that most of these military members are now infected. And in the game, you reflect it too, as they're harder to kill. They can take 2 knives on round 1, but they won't kill you if you're really cautious enough. So Die Rise continues the same thing, as that you could build stuff with certain parts around the map. For this time, you could build a trampoline now. Of course, the corpse launches the zombies a lot. This trampoline is important for some of the Easter egg steps. But just like with Transit, I'm gonna go with the radios first. But I want to give some extra details about Die Rise and also to the special rounds that happened around every round 5. But first, the hidden detail. If you play a Stuhlinger, you can able to hear the zombies speak to you.
Looks like junk.
Kinda creepy because that means it shows that the zombies are still alive somehow. It's like with the other one, their still souls are trapped inside the zombies, but they keep going on an eternal cycle of coming back from the dead. The thing is, it's only unique for this map. No other maps does this, not even Buried. And only Stuhlingers are able to when they hear this. Back in the day, I didn't know that this was a hidden detail. I always thought it was a glitch as to why the zombies would talk to you right as you play a Stuhlinger. But in some of the words, you can make out that they're talking about Richtofen saying that he lies. And also too, sometimes you can make it out that they're in eternal pain as you can hear their cries. This is a creepy detail because Stuhlinger is the only one able to hear it. None of the other players hear it. This reason Stuhlinger is able to hear it because he ate the zombie's flesh. And again, that's how he's able to hear Richthofen and some of the zombies' cries. And time for the special rounds, because it's not the normal hellhounds as you're used to before. Now they're crawlers. Well, they're almost in a similar design as Nova 6 crawlers. These guys are really different. Whenever the special round comes around, Richthofen says those classic thing that copy Samantha, fetch me their souls, and then these guys spawn in.
Fetch me their souls! Coming.
These guys, they're bouncing from every wall, even the ceiling too. It doesn't matter, they will try to get you no matter what. These guys are in the same style as the regular dogs as you get max ammo each time you kill the last one. First, these guys are not really tough. It was just really surprising the first time encountering these guys, because we were expecting hellhounds, but no, we were expecting now the crawlers. And so, with most of the environment out of the way and the extra details, I'm gonna go to the radios. The same thing as Transit, I'm gonna have a timestamp if you want to skip to me to the yapping of all the summary of all the radios.
Attention all on this channel. This is George Barkley, former Assistant Director of the CDC facility in Druid Hills, Georgia. Prior to the destruction of our headquarters, our research found evidence that contaminants are now infecting the very air we breathe. As such, exposure of some sort appears inevitable for all survivors. Symptoms are variable, but most subjects display short-term memory loss, psychosis, delusion, and paranoia. Short-term memory loss has also been reported, but as of yet, I have been unable to confirm this. We advise all individuals to monitor their fellow survivors for signs of the above symptoms, paranoia in particular. Ask yourself, are those closest to you really who you think they are? Are they following their own secret agenda? Are they perhaps plotting against you? The dangers presented by such symptoms cannot be overstated. It was with deep sadness that I myself was forced to euthanize 14 members of my own team. My condolences to their families. I hope this message serves as a warning to all survivors. We must all do whatever it takes to ensure our future as a species. Thank you.
If there's anyone out there, please respond. I desperately need help. The others left me, and I'm alone and frightened. Help! I tried to do it right, but the others, they weren't listening. This piece goes here. This piece goes there. I couldn't do it on my own. I need help. I really do. The German man stopped talking to me, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Science has failed us. He has abandoned us. In this new world, we alone are your salvation. We alone can light the way. Hear our words. Heed our call. There is but one path to enlightenment. Just as they would consume us, we must consume them. We are the living, and we are the dead. We are the flesh, and the flesh is us. We will not starve. We will thrive.
Redcon 5, this is Saber 1-0. Our sweep failed to find any evidence of survivors on site. Broken Arrow is not viable for new FOB. That's a negative, sir. Records appear to have been destroyed in a fire prior to the facility being overrun. Sir, we believe staff may have been trying to destroy evidence implicating them in the outbreak. Understood, sir. Confirm drop in T-5. Retreating to safe distance.
To anyone listening, we have food, water, and medical supplies. Enough to last several years.
For these radios, I find them more haunting more than the Transit radios. But the first one, you hear about the CDC. I guess you can count as these are some of the government remnants from the United States. This radio, they find the evidence that 115 is currently infecting the air, and this is from the rockets again. But what's more surprising is that what 115 does to the body, and not to the zombies but to a normal healthy human. We got hints of it back in Black Ops 1, but now in this report we get the full effects of what 115 does to the body, and as it can cause short-term memory loss, psychosis, delusion, and paranoia. An important note, they said that only some people develop the symptoms, which is kinda ironic because the whole planet is infected, so everyone is infected with 115. And so in a way, everyone has mild symptoms from the 115 exposure. And also too, this explains a lot more of the Ultimus crew, of their personalities, as their personalities is an exaggeration of their national stereotype of what country they originated from. For that one, Richthofen personally exposed them to 115. For Richthofen, he was already exposed to it when he got teleported to the pyramid and was affected by it, and turn made him to the exaggeration of his personality. And also too, back to the CDC operative that he had to kill 14 members of his crew. Again, apparently they were being paranoia and heard voices. And this could be attributed to Dr. Maxis or Richtofen talking to the members as they had their own agenda and they almost killed everyone. But the CDC operative was forced to kill them, for his own safety because he really didn't want to kill them. And so he broadcasts his message to warn the other survivors. And for the second radio, we hear a woman going into a mental breakdown, as she pleads for help as she has no clue what to do with the pieces. And she talks about Dr. Richtofen where he keeps talking to her. And also in a way, probably Richtofen is tormenting this poor woman. And she has no clue how to create the device as Richtofen is trying to tell her, and she has no clue what to do. And she needs some help, but no one's coming along as she's by herself. Apparently the others left her. They probably left her because she was rambling about Richtofen talking to her. Or maybe they left her behind because she probably attacked one of the members. With this radio, just reinforces that Richthofen is trying to find a way to control all the zombies from the pyramid, as he's still instructing survivors to create these devices to help get more of a better control of the pyramid. Now to the third radio, that talks about the flesh cult group that's been eating the zombies' flesh. And for these guys, they completely abandoned science and are probably under Richthofen's control. The Richthofen has a certain fondness to this group of the flesh. It probably has to do so because they're more useful than the others, as they're more willing to hear Richthofen out. This shows how bad humanity has been lost as everyone's mind is going crazy. Now for the fourth and fifth radio. The fifth radio is going to be short, but I'm mainly going to be talking about the fourth radio. In the fourth radio, we get the first mention of Broken Arrow. Apparently, just like with the first radio, these are the US government remnants, or well, the military remnants. And apparently Broken Arrow is a facility. In this instance, it was part of a facility for the Americans, of where they were testing 115 just like with Groom Lake back on the moon. Of course, this facility was overrun. Apparently they were trying to find survivors, but they weren't lucky enough. And also too, the staff were trying to destroy any evidence of what linked to the outbreak into that facility. For the final message, well, it's the same guy from the first radio. But for this radio, it's just telling that they have enough supplies that'll last for several years. I don't know how they're gonna survive, but, well, it's gonna take a lot of luck for them to do. And so those are all the radios. What I find more haunting from these radios than the Transit ones, well, the Transit ones are more survivor stories. As for these radios, I find them more haunting because the government remnants are trying to help people, or at least they can. Even too, they were trying to contain it, but they can't because, well, there's a giant hole in the earth. And also too, the fact that the whole earth is covered by 115, so everyone's screwed. Still scary thought that government is trying to help people at least they can. And also too, we get more confirmation of the cult that eats zombies' flesh. It shows how people are very desperate right now during the zombie apocalypse. And also too, the fact that the Cold War between Maxis and Richthofen keeps intensifying each time we go to these new maps. So with that, we're going to transition to the Easter eggs now. Again, there's two of them. One for Maxis side and one for Richthofen side. I'm going to go first with the Maxis side and then to the Richthofen side too. But it's going to be in the same style as the Transit Easter egg. For this Easter egg, it is called High Maintenance. So same with the Transit Easter egg, I had a difficult time doing the Easter egg for Die Rise. Same with Transit, it kept crashing at the worst moment, so I had to restart from step 1. And so I got tired of crashing and redoing the Easter egg, so I just started no-clip and do the elevators to just get the Easter egg over with. Enough with the complaints, but same thing with the Transit Easter egg, we had to activate a device during this map. For this side of the Easter egg, we're doing the Maxis side, and like same thing with the Transit Easter egg, I'm going to show some of the Maxis quotes.
Disrupting my communications via electrical devices. You will hear me, and you should listen.
So for this one, step 1, turn on the power, just like any other Easter egg. And for the second step, you have to stand on these gold rings, but for the solo mod, it activates all of them. And for co-op, you need all 4 players to stand on each of them. And after that, the next step, you need to buy a sniper rifle or get one from the mystery box. For this one, you gotta aim at the dragon's mouth and shoot the balls. And then they'll teleport to the starting room under the lion's paw. Now for this one, it's either up to you if you want to choose Maxis side or Richthofen side. And for Maxis side, you need to pick up the ball, and also too, you need to build a trampoline as you need to put in these specific locations in order to have these balls jump from building to building. For that, if you're able to get it correct, you go on to the next step, and then you need to go to the Buddha room. Buddha room is one in the other building when you're going down the elevator shaft. So if you're going down here, be careful not to die from fall damage. Because back in the day, I died a lot of fall damage here. And for this step, you need to kill 15 zombies in this room. But what's another stupid part of this Easter egg, you need to get the ballistic knives for Maxis side, and then you need to pack-a-punch it. And if you go back to the tower, it's starting to glow like Maxis' colors, which would be orange. And after that, you gotta do another stupid step that you have to match these magic tiles, or some of these Chinese symbols that some of them say north, west, south, and east. After that, once you figure it out, you go knife the beams of which direction starts first and ends. And for that, you completed the Maxis Easter egg. And once you complete this Easter egg, you're one step closer to stopping Richthofen. And also too, when you complete the Easter egg, you get all the perks from the map. And also too, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the Tranzit Easter egg, but once you complete an Easter egg for each side, they glow a certain color on the map's icon back on the Earth. So blue for Richthofen and orange for Maxis. And also too, this has a certain mechanic as these had to do with the nav tables, as every map has a nav card. And also too, you can insert them to the nav tables. And what's unique about BO2 is that some of the Easter eggs you do on Transit and Rise and also too Buried, they stay the same color of what side you pick, like for Maxis or Richthofen. And later on in the maps, because some of the nav cards are unique to each different map, you can plug it in and it does something cool with the map icons. Because now they're more signals now. It's kind of cool because it adds more flair to the Easter eggs, because so far the Easter eggs for Transit and Rise are not really that good. They're kind of lackluster compared to the ones at Black Ops 1. But so far it's only for these two maps. As for the later maps, you get some really cool Easter eggs. But yeah, that's the Maxis Easter egg. Now onto the Richthofen side. Oh, now for Richthofen side. Richthofen side is exactly like the Transit Easter egg, in which he needs the zombie's energy in order to power the device for Rise. And for the beginning parts, it's exactly the same as the Maxis step. You turn on the power, step on the golden circles, and then there you get to the point of where you need to do the Easter egg. And right after the sniper rifle step, you need to build a Sliquifire, the main wonder weapon for this map. And I'm gonna go on a little small tangent talking about the Sliquifire, and it's another cool wonder weapon in zombies. And also too, it's kind of a troll weapon if one of your friends get it, as this gun makes the ground really slippery, and if your friend shoots around the elevators or on some of the stupid edges, well, you're gonna slip off and die, if you're not paying attention enough. This wonder weapon is easily better than a jet gun. It doesn't get destroyed, and also too, it's pretty powerful. So once you get the wonder weapon, go back to the starting room and go to the lions which are holding the balls. Then you have to shoot both of them 20 times to make them spin. Of course, Richtofen always quotes something when you do step. And after that, well, you gotta do something similar with the trampolines, but instead you gotta use the zombies' energies, and then you have to place them around the map so they can launch themselves at the pylon, since Richtofen needs to use the zombie energy in order to power his side of a pylon. And after killing enough zombies for it to get powered up, you have to do the next step, the modging tiles. It's the same thing as a Maxis, that you have to go find these symbols around the map, tell which one goes from north, west, south, and east. And once you figure it out, you gotta knife the pylon with the Galvanocles, and then you did the Easter egg for Richtofen. And again, you get a reward that's more like Perkaholic, you get every perk on the map. And that's all the Easter eggs for Rise. And that was Rise. And back in the day, where I think still to this day people do not like this map because it's kind of hard. And I explained some of that due to the environment, as it can really get you confused. And you can most likely die from fall damage. And the whole elevators thing too, which kind of sucks and it takes out the fun out of the map. But still a solid entry into continuing the zombie storyline for the Victus crew. And also too, it's a more realization that we get more on the ground coverage of what the Earth is going through, or what the survivors are going through. As this takes place in China, Trend is not the only instance where everyone's getting screwed over, as it's also happened in China and other places too, probably similar to Transit and Rise, which adds more to the horrorness to the zombie apocalypse for Black Ops 2. This was a good map and concept, but in execution, like with Transit, they didn't do so well with it. And well, for Transit, well, that kinda sucks because they mostly got undercut by hardware limitations. Without the hardware limitations, would probably been another classic map. But again, not many people like Rise. For me, I'm indifferent. Sending with Transit, I'm indifferent. To me, I think they're alright maps, but they're not really that one that will go out and play it again. And also too, I think another thing that people didn't like was that we got teased by PhD Flopper, and in turn we get one of the worst perks in zombies history. And that is Who's Who. I'm gonna talk over the demonstration because as well, this kind of perk could have been good, but it's pretty stupid. So in turn, if you go down, another player gets to spawn, and that player is you. For this character, he only has a pistol. As for the other character, well, he's down and he has all the perks and all the weapons you have, but not the copy that Who's Who gives you. So you're really screwed in high rounds as you're stuck with a pistol and as you're running through trying to revive yourself. And remember, you have nothing, so it's going to be nearly impossible just to revive yourself. Just a waste of a perk slot. I really wonder if there's going to be defenders of Who's Who. They talk smack about Deadshot Daiquiri in Black Ops 1, as that for that version it wasn't really that good. But down the line, Deadshot Daiquiri improved over the time. As for Who's Who, it was only for Rise, and I think that's it. It was only in Rise and never came back ever again. Now I didn't mention Tombstone, but there's not really even a mention of it because I mostly played solo, but Tombstone does something similar to Who's Who, but it mostly works for multiplayer, as you can kill yourself and you can use a glitch to get more perks while using Tombstone. Remember back in the day that a lot of people use the strategy for Transit, just to get more extra perks, but Tombstone's more of a footnote in Zombies history, but Tombstone did return down the line for Cold War. But enough with the tangent, that's Rise. But back in the day for 2012, I wasn't really fond of these two maps. They were alright, but they weren't to the same extent as Black Ops 1 or World at War map. They're still fun to play with friends, but it wasn't good to play them as solo. But well, that's more back in the day. But now these maps are really okay. But for that, Rise was the second DLC. And well, for the next DLC, we have a much of a surprise, because the next map in the Zombies entry became an instant classic. Still to this day, it's one of the best maps in zombie history, and even when I play Black Ops 2, it's still one of my go-to maps I play. I can't get tired of it. And well, that map is Mob of the Dead. What really sucks for Mob of the Dead is that I can't play the intro for you guys. It's one of the most badass cutscenes ever, but I can't play it due to copyright issues, since it plays Johnny Cash's song Rusty Cage. So I can't play it for you, but at least I could tell you what happens in the cutscene as more of a brief summary of it. Wish I could show you, but copyright issues. It is one of the most badass cutscenes I ever seen. But for Mob of the Dead, we have a new crew. And these guys are mobsters, one of the original gangsters in early day America, or specifically during the Prohibition times. So these guys are really OG gangsters. And then well, in COD Zombies fashion, these guys are celebrity actors too. And in some movies they play more of a mafia role, more of mobsters, which fits more Mob of the Dead. And so we have Michael Madsen as Finn O'Leary, Joe Pantoliano as Albert Arlington, as Palmentary as Salvatore De Luco, and lastly Ray Liotta, may he rest in peace. He plays as Billy Handsome. And in the cutscene they're over talking about how to escape Alcatraz, as Mob of the Dead takes place in Alcatraz, one of the most notorious prisons in American history. It's famous for some of the prison escapes it had. It was mostly famous during the Prohibition era, but now it's more famous for being abandoned and being really creepy as hell. So the Zombies design team went to visit this island and took design inspirations, or well, not inspirations, but took more of the island as more of a level design for Mob of the Dead, as it's more an exactly replica of Alcatraz Island. And so for the Mob of the Dead crew, in the cutscene, they're trying to escape, as they overgo through the plans. But DeLuco says something interesting, and I'll bring it up in the Easter egg portion. Said that they've been over this for 50 times and they're gonna keep doing it more as long as it takes. And so in the cutscene, they overgo through the plan of how to escape and how they're gonna do it. And so the Weasel, which is Arlington, does a fake ruse and kills the guard. And well, Billy Handsome has guns stashed from the warden's office, as he took some of them from the special collection, as these are revolvers. But something weird really happens. The guard comes back from the dead, and Billy does a remark to the Weasel saying that he's gone soft, or well, he's not doing as good because he's been locked up for a very long time, as the guard is a zombie now. And so the recently turned guard roars at them, or else screeches at them, but Billy just shoots him. And Will gives one of the most genuine reactions, and I'm just gonna show it to you.
What the fuck?
And after that, all of them proceed to kill the guard. That's their first time encountering a zombie. And after they kill the zombie, the whole scenery changes around them to this hellish landscape. It's still Alcatraz, but it has a hellish feel to it, as the rest of the zombies come out of the cells, but something's weird about them. They have red eyes. Zombies we're used to have yellow eyes or blue eyes. We've never seen red eyes before. So who's in control of these zombies? And back in the day, this was a huge mystery. Of course, we got later answers to this, but back in the day, they were attributing to it that it was the devil that was in control of these zombies. And I'll add more onto that statement when I get to the environment portion. But for this crew, they fight back the zombies, or at least try to, but they succumb to them as all of them die. And well, they die pretty gruesome ways. And that concludes the cutscene. And oh boy, I'm gonna get into the environment of Mob of the Dead. Like I said earlier, this map has more of a hellish feel to it, as it feels like, well, a popular depiction of hell, more than Transit. Transit is more of an atmosphere-like. As for Mob of the Dead, well, it's almost like an actual depiction of hell. So when you go through the areas around the map, there's bodies laying around, there's a lot of candles, there's a lot of blood, and there's a lot of messages around. And most of these messages take on the Dante's Inferno inspiration. As in Dante's Inferno, once you're in hell, abandon all hope, ye who enter. And Mob of the Dead takes the same feeling, as some of the messages says no one escapes here alive. And this has to be one of the most badass takes for Alcatraz, which fits it really well because back in the day, Alcatraz Island was infamous for being one of the most hardest prisons to escape from, since well, it was an island and there was a large bodies of water since it was in the San Francisco Bay. And there were so many stories about Alcatraz Island of how many people tried to escape it. Some failed and some succeeded. But it just fits the whole idea of Alcatraz being almost like a hellish place. And what helps is the ambience for this map, because they caked up the ambience for this map a lot. Almost in a similar style to Verrückt, in my opinion. There's certain audio cues when you go into specific rooms around the map.
You sure this is important, Weasel?
especially when you go too near to the rooftop, when you go into this room and you hear this weird sound. And also too, when you go into the laundry room, you hear the chains moving of the dangling bodies in the shower. Even too, when the round changes or even when the round begins, it's more of a haunting, hellish feel. I might keep saying hell a lot, but Mob of the Dead really feels like it's hell. As well, because there's a new mechanic for this map, the Afterlife mechanic. As there's no power for this map, as you have to go into Afterlife mode to turn on some parts around the map. Like your soul is the source of power for this area. And no other map does this. Mob of the Dead is one of the unique ones that does this. And also too, in this Afterlife mode, you can hear whispers while going through the walls in Alcatraz, almost like you're a ghost. Not only that, the mystery box has changed too, which takes more of a hellish appearance.
Holy fuck! This thing looks like a fucking coffin or something. It looks like part of some kind of machine.
And also that too has some more haunting sounds to it. Even some of the perk machines too. It's almost like they're clipping out of reality. It has a weird feeling to it. And also back to the Afterlife mechanic, because that's the only way how you can revive yourself. Won't get a second chance of reviving yourself. Which is weird because this adds more of a limbo feeling because you're not really forced to die. You die if you don't revive yourself, but it's kind of a weird feeling that you're always put in Afterlife mode whenever you get one counter for it. What adds to more of that feeling is that how the starting room acts. As when you start out the map, you start in Afterlife mode instantly. And you have to revive your specific character. And well, the thing is, well, this happened right after the cutscene. Our characters died, and now are back alive again. Almost like a cycle, but the thing is, these characters have no clue that they're in a cycle, as they have no recollection of what happened. They had no clue if they died or if they didn't. It's more of like a dream to them. Of course they figure out later on, but during the first instances, they have no clue. They think that they're just stuck on this island, they have to get off this island immediately. And by doing that, they use the same plans as they did as they were in the original Alcatraz island. Use a plane to get off the island. And well, it's very makeshift. But that's the main objective for this map, as we have to get the plane parts. We always have to get the plane parts, no matter what. Almost like a mantra for these characters. But before I get into that, I'm going to talk about more of the hellish feel to this map. Because well, there's more extra stuff around here too. As now, you have to feed the hellhounds. As in certain locations, there's a symbol of a dog head around it. And once you kill a zombie next to it, the hellhound spawns and eats the zombie. But it's mostly coming out the wall. It's not really attacking us. Compared to Samantha's hellhounds, these guys look more different than any actual hellhound. These guys have more of a hellhound look compared to the other hellhounds, as the other ones are just zombified dogs. For these are demon dogs, and you have to feed all of them to get a special reward. A cool little extra detail once you go to the first hellhound head is that there's a gigantic fire hole in the ground, and well, you could throw grenades for it to get some extra points. The thing is, what is the hole doing here? And well, again, it has a hellish feel to it. Even to when you're done feeding all the dogs. And well, we're gonna get more confirmation that this place is actual hell, because once you feed all the dogs, you get a special reward. A tomahawk called the Hell's Retriever, one of the most badass weapons in zombies history. And well, I will just show it to you how badass it is. Not only that, we get 2 more badass weapons for this map. The Blundergat, quad barrel shotgun, one of the most badass weapons in COD history. This thing tore through zombies easily. It's practically a one-shot use, but it clears out a horde of zombies really well. And also too, you can upgrade this, as it has a special variant called the Acid Gat, as it shoots explosive vials, and well, they explode once after a certain time. Also too, one of the most coolest perks ever too, called Electric Cherry, as it shocks the zombies whenever you reload. Another thing that happens around this map is that there's a special round. Oh well, a special zombie that spawns every 6 rounds, or I think every 5 rounds, I'm not sure. And this guy is called the Warden. This guy means business, because once he spawns,
About shit.
oh boy, he shakes the screen and he can disable the mystery box or perks, and even take down barriers to help the zombies come out of the walls. The thing is, he can be killed, but during the first time it was a shock to many players, and even including me, as I wasn't expecting the Warden to spawn. The noise he makes is really haunting, and he even talks to you when he dies, as he says he always comes back, or any other remarks. For the zombies in this map, they take on the hellish appearance, which really fits the setting of hell in Mob of the Dead. Some of them have barbed wires or have spikes coming outside their bodies, which adds a little bit to the horror feel too. And well, the Warden just adds more to the torturous experience of this map, because these guys are stuck in a cycle. Again, I'm gonna keep saying it, this is their hell. Forever stuck on Alcatraz Island. and forced to fight the undead in a clueless state as they have no recollection of what happened before. These guys keep dying over and over again. Either get eaten by the zombies, or the thing is, they built the plane. And well, to build the plane in the game, you have to get the Warden's Key to unlock some of the special areas of where you need the items to build the plane. And well, once you build the plane, you get to launch off into the Golden Gate Bridge. You finally escape Alcatraz Island, but a lightning strike hits you and you crash onto the Golden Gate Bridge. And well, you're stuck on the bridge. But at least you have Pack-a-Punch, right? And I gotta say, the Pack-a-Punch camo for this map kicks ass. One of the most coolest camos ever in Zombies history. I'm going off topic, but back to the bridge. Because for some certain time you're stuck on the bridge. But the thing is, there's only one way to go back to the island. And after some time, the electric chair spawns in. And well, there's 4 of them. And to get off this island, you have to ride the lightning.
Let's get this done right now!
And so our characters get executed, shocked to death. And they're back on Alcatraz Island, and once again in afterlife mode. An eternal cycle forever for these characters, as they rebuild the plane, go back to the Golden Gate Bridge, get shocked to death, and repeat the same process over and over again, almost like for eternity. The Alcatraz Island, the once prison they used to reside in, is a personal hell for all of them. This map has more of a supernatural feel to it. But the thing is, how does it fit in the zombie storyline? Like what I said, this map has a supernatural feel to it. It can't fit into the zombie storyline, can it? These zombies have different eye colors and everything. These characters are not even related to the other main characters, not even the Victus crew, or to the other crew too, the Ultimus crew. It's almost like a different realm, separate from the other zombies crew. And due to this, there were so many videos back in the day trying to unlock the mysteries of Mob of the Dead. How it fits in the lore, what does all this stuff mean, what are these guys doing here, and why are they stuck in hell? And how does it relate to the zombie storyline? There's just so many videos about Mob of the Dead. I almost got addicted to watching all the breakdown videos on Mob of the Dead. This was back in the day, so there was a whole bunch of them. Everyone had different takes and everyone had different interpretations of it. And of course, some of them were right and some of them were wrong. Later down in the zombie storyline, we get an answer of what Mob of the Dead is. And this map became an instant classic overnight. So many people talked about it. It's one of the best maps in Zombies history. But of course, not really the best, as there's some certain critiques about this map that I will admit. Like the fact they have to rebuild the plane in order to pack-a-punch a weapon, which I understand can get really annoying over time. But still a really cool map. And also too, it's one of the most unique maps ever in Zombies history. But back to our characters, because Weasel knows something. He knows about the cycle he is in, as he's the only one that knows it. The other characters have no clue about it. And so we're going to transition to the Easter egg portion of this map. Also to talk about the radios as it coincides with the Easter egg. But before I get to the main Easter egg, Pop Goes the Weasel for Mob of the Dead, I'm going to talk about the other ones too. It's going to be a small tangent, so don't worry about it, as one of them is one of the most easiest ones to do. As when you start in the starting room, just don't move at all, and this will happen when you die. The whole map color drains, and it plays Samantha's lullaby as the camera pans to the moon. What's Samantha's lullaby doing here? It adds more of a connection to the other zombies crew. And what adds more to the connection to the others is that the Weasel quotes something. He says Nikolai's name, as he has no clue who this person is, but it keeps ringing in his head. And also too, there's another Easter egg. Of course it doesn't fit into the other timelines, or everyone had no clue what it meant back in the day, but you go to the rooftop and you have a sniper rifle, go over these fireworks. Something cool happens. And well, we get a classic jump scare. And this was fun back in the day because I used to trick my friends about it, as they had no clue about the fireworks. And well, I got them really good. And also too, sorry for not giving a jump scare warning. But with those two miscellaneous Easter eggs out of the way, I'm going to do the main Easter egg now. Or well, show it to you. Because well, this Easter egg is pretty easy, as it's mainly radio focused. The first step is to build a plane and ride it 3 times. But before that, you have to obtain the free Blundergat and obtain the spoon. But in my recording, I didn't do that, but you have to do these steps. And so after you do that, you have to listen to some radio logs. And again, just like with Tranzit Radio, you can skip to the portion where I give a brief summary of it.
My name is Stanley Ferguson. I was a guard at Alcatraz from 1933 to 1942. Today, I'm going to give you some insight into one of the more interesting tales from the prison's history. Over the decades, Alcatraz has seen more than its fair share of daring escape attempts. However, few were as audacious as the one undertaken by 4 inmates on New Year's Eve, 1933. Thought to be the brainchild of an inmate by the name of Albert Arlington, the outrageous scheme was as unlikely as its mastermind. It's believed that Arlington, aka the Weasel, somehow convinced 3 other inmates that he had devised a foolproof plan to escape the rock. It was a plan that would see them literally taking to the skies on a makeshift aircraft of Arlington's own design. Just how the Weasel managed to convince these hardened criminals that such a plan was even possible remains a mystery to this day. What is known is that no such plane was ever built. Instead, the group's plans for freedom soon descended into bitter argument and infighting, with the plan falling apart. Anger and frustration would ultimately lead to a brutal altercation between the misguided Arlington and his former co-conspirators. Armed only with makeshift weapons, Finn O'Leary, Sal DeLuca, and Billy Handsome lured the unsuspecting Arlington to the roof, where they intended to exact a bloody and violent revenge. And so it was here, beneath the dark and stormy winter skies, that the hapless Arlington met his grisly end, bleeding to death on the cold concrete roof. For their participation in the murder, the 3 collaborators were sent to death by electric chair. Justice came swiftly. On the morning of January 19th, 1934, the execution order was carried out.
And so we get to the full story of Mob of the Dead and these characters, as the Weasel was the whole mastermind of the planned escape of using the plane. He convinced the other 3 to help him in this plan and to escape the island. And of course the Weasel designed this plane. But the thing is, the Weasel was able to convince all of them. But the plane was never built, and so in came the infighting. And it fell really bad, as the other 3 murdered the Weasel on top of their roof. Revenge sense, and so the Weasel dies on top of their roof. But the other 3 were executed. They died by the electric chair. So we get the realization all our characters are actually dead, that their spirits are forced to walk through Alcatraz Island. And so that's all their radios for the map. And now for the Easter egg. So after all the radios have been heard, you have to go in afterlife mode and ride the plane. It begins with one of the most unique Easter eggs in Zombies history. It's a 3v1, the other 3 versus the Weasel. It's a PvP Easter egg, and one side has to win. But I'm gonna go with the canon ending, because the canon ending is that the Weasel kills the others and he breaks the cycle. And this message and this whole action is important for the zombie storyline in the future. But the non-canon ending is that the other 3 kill the Weasel and the cycle continues. But that's the Easter for Mob of the Dead. The cycle part will become important later down the line in Zombie storyline, as again this Easter egg led to more mysteries about it. What did it mean? And was it only to this portion of the map or where the Weasel actually broke his cycle and the spirit was able to move on? Or was it something else entirely? As back in the day with limited information, Mob of the Dead was somehow connected to the other maps, but we didn't get the full picture yet, as that will be answered later down the storyline. But so far, that's Mob of the Dead, one of the most coolest maps in Zombies history. It's one of the most unique ones too, and it does a really good job in it of being actually unique and actually good at the same time. And so that's the second DLC. Now we're going to be talking about the next DLC, which continues the Victus crew, and that map is Buried. And so now we're on Buried, and right now I'm going to show you the cutscene as I'm able to, as it's mostly talking. Just like with the Rise cutscene, you can skip to a certain portion of where I give a brief summary of it.
Enough walking for today. We set up camp here. In case you boneheads have forgotten, the world is broken. Very broken. The dead walk the earth, and what remains of civilization is at the mercy of forces we barely understand.
What makes you think we're gonna find something different at this new place?
I don't know that we will, but at least we'll be sure. Sure of what, exactly? I don't know.
His memory's going again.
Your name is Russman. Russ Man.
That my first or last name?
We don't know. You're just Russman. Yeah, anyway, you're a former operative from Broken Arrow. You've been walking the Earth since the, incident.
Yeah. I think I remember. The town.
That's right! That's where you found us!
When we met, you already had your lapdog in tow.
What do you mean, lapdog, huh? I'm the only one who knows what to do!
Don't talk stupid, Stu. All you know is whatever the German tells you to think.
I don't think you're in any position to ridicule Mr. Stuhlinger, particularly given your own proclivities.
You better watch your mouth before you say something you regret, boy.
Enough! We need to remember why we're here. We've all been jumping through hoops for reasons we don't fully understand.
Fully understand?
All right, for reasons we don't understand at all. Point is, we do it. We keep moving, we keep fighting. It's what we do, day in, day out. If you really need a reason why we do this, I'll give you one. We do it because doing something, anything, is better than doing nothing.
The rift is less than one day's travel. We move at dawn.
What if we don't find answers?
Then we'll just have to ask more questions.
So for the Victor's crew, they're still surviving, despite being deep into the zombie apocalypse. For this time, they have no clue where they're going, and they need answers. For this area, it's important to them. They think this area has answers to all their questions. But that's what Rustman says. With the cutscene, we get confirmation that Rustman was a part of the Broken Arrow initiative, same facility that was mentioned in Die Rise. And again, it's the facility that the Americans did to test on 115. And it seems that Rustman was exposed to 115 as he has short-term memory loss. He has no recollection or even doesn't remember his own name. At least the others try to help gain back his memories. Well, for some temporary time. Even to start bickering that Stuhlinger is the only one that's been knowing what to do since he only takes orders from Richthofen. But with the extra bits of the cutscene out of the way, we're in Buried now. And so for the environment of Buried, well, it's an underground western town. And just like the map says, this town is buried underground. This cowboy town is under the ground, but how? We're in Africa, not in America or even Mexico. How the hell did this town get buried under here? And why is it in Africa? And also too, why is it standing next to a really big hole? As I think this hole was caused by one of the missiles. And also too, this impact of this rocket shifted the ground as some of the plates are moved up to the ground, shooting outward. It's still weird that what is this western town doing here? And also too, the zombies' appearances are different, as they have a more of a cowboy feel to them, a western feel. It's kinda goofy seeing the zombies in a western outfit. It's almost like they're stuck in time, just like the town is. It was perfectly preserved underground for some reason. But not fully perfectly preserved, as some parts of the map are crumbling down, and also too, you can see the decay of the town, since it's all made out of wood. Still, it's a cool sight seeing those old western towns stuck underground. When you slip down, you can see in this full glory. And if you go through the buildings, you see how decrepit it is, due to it being embedded into the ground, and of course how old it is. But like I said earlier, there's some areas that are perfectly preserved, like the candy store, the bank, well, kinda not the bank because there's a giant hole in the ground, but everything else too. Especially the bar and its piano, and everything else too. In a way, it's kinda creepy how perfectly preserved some of the areas are. Because how this place hasn't been touched yet? But apparently it's been touched by us now because the Earth was able to crack open and reveal its secrets about the town. And we are the first explorers to explore it. I know there's a mine right there, but I don't think they ever seen this town before. It was only till the Earth cracked that we were revealed to this town, and we're able to see some of its secrets. Because apparently this town is important for Maxis and Richtofen, as once again there's a device here that we need to power up that helps them control the pyramid and control the zombies. But well, for Maxis side, well, to stop Richthofen, for Richthofen to get full control again. But I'll get to talk about that in the Easter egg portion, because I want to talk about the main creepy thing on this map. The mansion, and apparently there's a woman in the windows, but each time she disappears like a ghost. Now you can't get to this area yet as it's blocked off by some sort of barricade. You need someone else's help to break this barricade, you can't break it on your own. And then so if you go into this room in this jail cell, you see Leroy. The thing is, Leroy is not a zombie, he's a regular person. And you can do a lot of cool things with him. If you give him alcohol, he's able to destroy the barriers. If you give him candy, he's able to kill some of the zombies. Other extra stuff you can do with him, like with the candy again, if you use it on the mystery box, he's able to hit it in place and it'll stay in that location forever. Or he's able to move the box around. He's really a helpful companion if you have the right stuff for him. Sometimes you can get in the way and get hit by a stray bullet and go back to the cell, and then you need to unlock his cell again. Still, he's a cool character to have around. And once you give him the boost, you can unlock the mansion now. And well, I think this scared a lot of people back in the day, because once you enter the mansion and you go down on the level, the ghost starts chasing you. And well, she steals your points. She follows you throughout the whole house until you make it to the exit and you kill all of them. And after that, she's fully gone and you get a free perk. But she can come back once you go back into the house. But behind the house there's a maze, and it's an ever-changing maze too. So when you come in and come out of the house, and also too when you go to the maze and go get Pack-a-Punch, it changes too. Almost like the maze is alive. I know some of this might make the map seem hard, but Buried is one of the most easiest maps in Zombies history. There's a lot of ways to get points on this map, if you use the bank, or if you use the chalk, that gets you a lot of points. And also too, Leroy's a big help for you. So I think a lot of people played this map back in the day, more than Transit and Rise. And even too, I will admit, it's another one of my most played maps too. It has a lot of cool things with it, especially with the wonder weapons and some of the special things it has. Like for one, you get a flying device, which is called the Paralyzer. It's not the main function of it, but it slows down the zombies. But a cool thing about it is that you can fly around with it around the map. Of course, you can still hit invisible walls, but that doesn't stop the fun, as you can still fly around the map. And it's a great ease of travel, as you don't have to open most of the areas, you could just fly over them. This is the wonder weapon called the Paralyzer. It's one of the awesome weapons to use. And we have the other one, called the Time Bomb, and it has a cool thing. If you lay it down on one of the rounds, like specifically, say round 3, and you go to round 5, you can go back in time and go back to round 3, which is a really cool mechanic, but a lot of people troll with it. And my friends did the same thing too when we first didn't know what it was. As one of my friends got the ray gun, and my other friend hit the time bomb, and he lost the ray gun altogether. It was still in the process of getting it outside of the box. So in turn, a lot of people were screwed over by using the time bomb. But still, a really cool mechanic. And since due to Buried being in a western town, it has more of a western feel, as it has similar music to a western movie. There's certain actions you do around the map as it plays a jingle. And also too, you get a western weapon too called the Remington, which is a revolver, and it's really cool to use. And so this map's more of a laid back map, you don't have to do as much as you can. And also too, this was around the time, I think in my opinion, that Call of Duty Zombies was slowly creeping away from horror. Because for this map, there's not really that much of a horror feel to it. Only the ghosts in the mansion, but that's about it. In my opinion, nothing compared to Transit, NukeTown, Rise, and Mob of the Dead. I think that has to do with the ambience too, because the ambience takes more of a western feel to it, instead of more of a horror feel. Still, that doesn't mean it's not a bad map, it's still a decent map to play on. And also too, horror is subjective, what's scary to you might not be scary to me, and vice versa. But for the feel of the map, it feels like the horror is slowly escaping away. But it's very slowly, it's not that fast yet. But I think that's enough talking about the environment for Buried. Since we're almost close to the end, since we have one more map, we're going to be talking about the Buried Easter egg now. And there's no radios on the map, so we're just going straight into the Easter egg, doing Maxis' side first. And again, in the same format as Rise and the Transit Easter egg. And so the Easter egg called for Buried is called Mind Games. And so we're doing Maxis' side first. So for the first step, we gotta find the gallows and build the parts on it. After that, we need to get the Paralyzer and charge up the orbs or break them. To break them, you can use the Subwoofer, but I'm gonna use the Paralyzer since it's easy to just charge up these things. And after that, a lantern spawns, and then you need to use a grenade to knock it down and pick it up. And then you gotta use Leroy to kill the zombies next to you, either by him rushing or using the candy. And after that, you go to a rooftop and then you put the lantern on the ground, in which you get certain symbols. And then you gotta decipher them. The next step, you gotta go to the tunnels and then knife the signpost, in a particular order, as the code can be randomized in each game. After that, a wisp spawns, but before that you need to get the time bomb and place it on the ground so you can go do it again, since it powers up the gallows. But since I was on the solo mod, it was easy to do this step, as it's pretty hard to do in multiplayer, as you need a lot of zombies to power up the wisp, as the wisp without the zombies can die out. That's only without the solo mod. And so after you do it twice, you completed this step. Now for the next one, this step was really annoying for me, even in the solo mod too, because you have to ring 3 bells in certain locations. You need to match them up to this board that has lights on it, and it's inside the mansion too. After you match them all up, you need to go to the last and final step. Make a wish at the fountain, and then you gotta play a little mini game, and then there, you completed the Easter egg for Buried. But before you finally complete the Easter egg, you need to build all the nav tables, all of the Victus crew maps, and also to get the special nav cards from every map. And after that, all of them have been inserted, you can go back to the courtroom and then go over here, as there will be a big red button, and this is where the Easter egg for Maxis sides ends, as when you push it, something cool really happens.
The process has begun. Now I control the ether's energy. I can at last reach Agatha! Ah, you fools! Why did you listen to him? Regretfully, I must inform you that neither the Earth nor its people will survive.
I tried so hard to warn you. Oh, God!
Once the gateway is open, I will finally be reunited with my dearest Samantha.
Hello? Are you forgetting something? Even if your wretched daughter is still alive, she has my body!
If you are so eager to re-enter the physical world, Richtofen, I will grant you that fish!
And so, Maxis won. He overtook the Ether, and now is in control of the zombies now. And the zombies have their yellow eye color like they used to before. But the thing is, Maxis betrayed us, as he says that he's gonna destroy the world now so he could go back with Samantha. Since Samantha is in Agartha, what Maxis did was more selfish, as he sacrifices the Earth and all the survivors too. And even Richthofen isn't spared, as Richthofen loses control and is now a part of the zombies now. As Maxis puts his soul into one of the zombies and it jumps randomly when he killed a zombie. And you can hear Richthofen's quotes too, whenever you kill the zombie.
Ah! The bodies are so filthy, so dirty. You can't dare you to stop eating brains and take a shower!
But Maxis is destroying the world by launching more of the asteroids, but yeah, he's destroying the world now. And for that, that's the Maxis Easter egg. For Maxis' side, this is the canon Easter egg. This is the last time we ever get to see the Victus crew until Black Ops 4. And also too, I'm not mentioning the comics, but apparently they appear in the comics. I didn't know Call of Duty Zombies had a comic series. But that's the last time we ever see the Victus crew for a very long time. And also too, the original Richthofen. Since Richthofen's damned to walk the earth into the zombies' bodies, and well, he doesn't like it. In a way, it's kinda karma for him because of what he did. But in the end, Maxis gets control of the Ether and is now controlling the zombies, and now the world is gonna end, fully. There's no way of stopping this. He's gonna destroy the world and probably destroy this reality too. And that's for the Maxis side Easter egg. And now to the Richtofen side. And also the same thing for Richthofen side, I'm gonna show some of his quotes. So for step 1, you gotta find the guillotine and build it. Since similar to the gallows, it's a thing that powers a device on this map. After that, it's pretty similar to the Maxis side of where you gotta power the red orbs, bring down the lantern, do the code again, and knife it and cause a wisp. Where it changes that, you need a time bomb, and then you need to plant it onto the guillotine, as something cool really happens. Because after all that is done, you need to use the time bomb on the guillotine and use it, when the guillotine is fully powered by the zombie souls. And then so, you go to round infinity. The thing is, you need to find a switch on your bodies, as these are all the crew members that died in the future. As Richtofen says that, oh, this is one outcome of the future. And also too, with the infinity sign, it seems more of a cycle. Similar to Mob of the Dead, similar to Shangri-La, similar to Die Rise. And apparently in this timeline, the Victus crew kept dying over and over again. But just like with Die Rise, Richthofen keeps reviving them to do whatever he wants. And then so, once you find the switch, go back to the guillotine and put the part on there. And you need 2 more steps. Go to the maze and find these switches, and you gotta do them in order. Once you go do them in order, you gotta go to the fountain and play that minigame again. And after that, you completed the Easter egg for Buried. And similar to the ending of the Maxis side, go to the courtroom and then push the big red button. And then this altercation plays.
Finally, I am in control! The ether is mine to manipulate as I wish! The moon is now my own personal plaything!
What have you done?
I've won, Maxis! That's what I've done!
Oh, what about Samantha? Your actions condemn my daughter's very soul to eternal damnation! Even if you do not care for her, surely you wish to return to your own body!
Not really, no. Don't I already possess the power to leave this netherworld and re-enter the physical realm once more? I can choose any body I wish! As for you, Maxis, you will simply cease to be! Auf Wiedersehen, Tunnel!
No!
Take a deep breath, Samuel. We're about to get a whole lot closer. That's I am... Oh, what's the word? Corporeal? No. Physical. Whatever. I have my very own body. I can touch. I can feel. I can smell.
not such a good thing. What is that stink? No! Wait. Something's wrong. I am struggling to control my movements. Okay, maybe I just need some practice.
Hey! Hey! What's going on?
Oh, Samuel! You're still here? Okay. This is a little awkward. It's really not that different how things were before, Sammy. We get to talk to each other, play games, have fun. It's really quite exciting. You'll like the fact that we're going to be eating more salad. That doesn't come in a bowl, but I do understand, Sammy. Just carry on as normal, and I'll try to leave you alone for a while.
And so Richtofen finally kills Maxis. And for Richtofen's side, he doesn't destroy the Earth as he gets full control of all the zombies now. He's able to control everything. He wasn't able to before thanks to the rockets and the overexposure of 115 all over the world. But now he's in full control. But something weird happens, because since he was able to talk to Samuel most of the time and he seems like he was more conversing with him, Samuel's soul is also stuck in the pyramid too, or in some way similar to it, as Richtofen's soul is now a part of Samuel. On multiplayer there's a cool feature because Samuel's eyes turn blue. This is a Richthofen side Easter egg, but I'm not playing on multiplayer, I'm playing solo, so I can't show you, so here's just an image. But for Richthofen side, it's non-canon, so this never got mentioned ever again. And then so, that's the Richthofen side. The most creepy part of this side of this Easter egg was seeing the round infinity and seeing your character's dead bodies. Also to the remarks that Richthofen said is that this is their future, or one of their futures that they mostly all likely died. For the scary part from Maxis side, it's towards the end when it destroys the planet, as everything shakes around you. And then so, that concludes both of the Easter eggs for Buried. And so, Buried became a decent map. A lot of people played this as it was one of the last times we see ever the Victor's crew ever again. And this map was pretty easy and pretty solid. So I think that's why a lot of people played this map. And also too, more of the Western feel as a lot of people were into Western stuff during around this time. And thank Red Dead Redemption for that. But after this seems like the end for zombies. Because we still don't know what happened to the original crew, and now it seems that the Maxis ending is canon, so the Victor's crew dies. Well, in a way, where was zombies gonna head next? Since there was still one more DLC left. Since every Call of Duty back in the day had 4 DLC packs. But Buried was the third one. What comes after Buried? Is it gonna be a new timeline or is it gonna be a new crew? We had no clue what was in the process. And during the first time, a lot of people weren't expecting this, since the next map is called Origins, the last map for Black Ops 2. And so for Origins, we get the classic return of our original crew that everyone grew up with in World at War and Black Ops 1. And so we're almost done with the video, as now we're going to be talking about Origins. And so just like with Mob of the Dead, I feel bad that I can't play the Origins cutscene because it's one of the most badass cutscenes in zombies history. In some people's ways, it's more badass than the Mob of the Dead one, but I still think Mob of the Dead one is still a little bit better than Origins, in some ways. I think everyone thinks this cutscene's more badass because, well, we get the return of our original crew. And so, well, I'm gonna give a brief summary of the cutscene even though I can't show it to you, but you can only see it in the background with no audio. So during the cutscene, we get the voiceover of Samantha Maxis, but in the original cut, she has a raspy voice. And so apparently this is a different timeline, as Group 935 was created before World War II. The Origins takes place during World War I. And also too, like with the other timeline, they were messing with 115. As the Germans find some old artifacts in France and create an excavation site, as the 2 German scientists that were in charge of this were Maxis and Richthofen. And this is the first time seeing Maxis, and also too, seeing a younger version of Richthofen too. But something horribly goes wrong as the excavation site opens a new hole, and then what we see is Templar zombies coming out of the walls. The Templar zombies have a different eye color, not the ones of Richthofen, or the ones from Mob of the Dead, or Maxis. They're a new different color. And so chaos spreads through the excavation site as Shepherd of Fire plays in the background. And once the Templar zombies infected everyone, regular yellow-eyed colored zombies come out of the excavation site and go on the battlefield, and they invade the trenches, killing everyone. But we get a classic return of our characters. First with Tank Dempsey, the second Nikolai, third Takio, and finally Richthofen. But the thing is, these guys are younger, not the other ones we've seen before. They're like a new version, completely separate from the World at War and Black Ops 1 crew. They're like a new different type of person. Though they have the same name and looks as them and even the personality too. But the thing is, these guys' personality are normal. Not like the crazy ones that we've seen in World at War and Black Ops 1, because this is due to 115 exposure to them. And apparently for these guys, they haven't been exposed to 115 yet. And so towards the end of the cutscene, our characters are inside a bunker. Tank Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takio stop Richtofen from... It seems that he was dissecting Maxis' head, but they stop him as they point guns at him. But the zombie horde is coming after them, so they put their differences to the side. But as soon as that happens, giant robot steps on the bunker, ending one of the most badass cutscenes in zombies history. And so, due to this cutscene, there were so many mysteries going on. Was this a different timeline, or was it the first time our characters met? After all, it's called Origins, and Samantha Maxis says that she was gonna tell us of how all of this started, but it was very cryptic back in the day, because we didn't know what was the full story yet until Black Ops 3 and 4. But like I said, back in the day, there were so many mysteries and a lot of people wanted answers. We'll get those answers when the map releases. Back in the day, when I was a kid, I always thought this was a soft reboot. But oh boy, I was wrong, since this was part of the zombie storyline. Now, I will admit, I didn't play the Origins map when I was a kid. I played it right after for a couple years. The reason I didn't play it as much because a lot of my friends didn't buy the DLC. But I bought it, but I didn't want to play solo because I wanted to play with my friends, so I just skipped Origins. I still watched a lot of videos people playing Origins, because I still wanted to know the zombies lore more. And for Origins, it was going to be a big leap into the zombie storyline, just like Moon. But that will be shown in the Easter egg. For so far, I'm going to show the environment first, and then transition to the radios, and finally the Easter egg. And so how the map starts off like how the cutscene left off of, in which the robot was stepping down on the bunker. And so you get to play as Nikolai, Tank Dempsey, Richtofen, and Takio, once again. But like I said in the intro, these guys are different. They're more normal, aren't the crazy personas we were used to. As with the other crew, they were infected with 115, thanks to Richtofen's experiments. For these guys, they're really a tame version of them. But of course, we still get hints of their old personality, but with the other ones, they're more exaggerated. In this one, they're kind of more normal being. And with that, the reason they're doing here is that because the three of them were spies, as all of them from the respective nations were sent to investigate what was Group 935 doing with 115 and the excavation site, since World War I is still going on and the Germans are still trying to find ways to break through the stalemate. And so they think 115 will help them, and then so they start experimenting with him, just like with the other timeline. But for this time, it's the first time they did it, because in the other timeline, Group 935 was created in World War II, but in this timeline, it was created during World War I. In which Dr. Maxis and Richtofen are sane now. Well, not Maxis right now because he got bit by a zombie and almost turned, so Richtofen knocked him out and tried to save his brain. Which he did, but he's still trying to find a way to get Maxis back. Nothing compared to the old timeline where Richtofen and Maxis hated each other. In this timeline, Richtofen tries to save Maxis as much as he can. But anyways, we're in the middle of World War I and we're in the middle of a battlefield. The undead are coming inside the bunker, and then we have to find a way to stop it. And so our crew must turn on the 6 generators to access the excavation site. And then so we go through the trenches, get ourselves dirty in the mud, and then go finally into no man's land, to finally see the excavation site of where the original outbreak occurred from. Since for this time it goes back to the original time of when there was only just a couple of outbreaks, not a full-on zombie apocalypse. Because the heroes have to stop and contain the outbreak. With that, for the environment, well, it captures the World War I feeling, going through the trenches and getting ourselves trapped into the mud. Because sometimes it can constantly rain and constantly snow. And if you look into the sky, there's an air battle going on, and a Zeppelin that sometimes crosses by. It was like an organized chaos, as the planes in the sky have no clue what's going down on the bottom. There's a lot of dogfights going on, and some of the people that are trying to shoot them down. Also too, in the sky too, there's a weird light that's shining down on the excavation site, almost like the center point of that location, like an eye of a storm. I always liked the little weather dynamic in Origins, because sometimes it can rain, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it snows. And it's not a one-off occasion, sometimes it continually happens. Origins in a small dosage captures the same feeling of World War I, but in the Western Front. Since after all, Origins takes place in France. But this is not any normal World War I setting. It seems more like a steampunk version of World War I. And some of the technology is a little bit too advanced for that time. And well, you can thank 115 for that. Since in the map, occasionally, 3 robots will come across the battlefield. And these are the German robots. And they're named after some of the Norse gods like Thor, Odin, and Freya. And these robots were helped created by 115. So in this timeline, 115 is help advancing technology way too fast. And well, due to that, they get bit back in the ass by poking their heads where they shouldn't be, which led to the outbreak into the battlefield. And so infected most of the German army in this section. And just like once again, the zombies' appearances are different. They take more of a World War I feeling to them, more specifically the German Empire uniform. So the zombies in this map are recently turned soldiers. And we could see it in the beginning cutscene too. But also that too, we get the appearance of the Templar soldiers, whenever you try to reactivate the generators that come out of the ground. But these guys don't have yellow eyes, they have a different eye color. Or for BO2, because I think in Black Ops 3 they changed the eye color for them. But we can already tell these zombies are very ancient. While more of them come out when you go to the dig sites, like the excavation site, or sometimes some of the elemental dig sites. Because for the wonder weapons on this map, they're staffs, the 4 elements of the earth. They are fire, ice, wind, and lightning. And of course each staff has different unique abilities, and different ways how they kill the zombies. But a weird location happens on the map when you reactivate the generators and get the gramophone and get the music disc for the excavation site. As when you go down to the bottom, you see the 4 main characters, as there's statues of them representing the 4 different elements, and they're wearing Templar clothes. But how is that possible? That's in the past. No way that these guys lived that long. It isn't possible. They'll be dead by the time they hit World War I. And so naturally this gave a lot of mystery and a lot of breakdowns of what these means. If you go around the map, there's hidden ciphers, and then we get this picture. And then so we see these guys, they're almost back in the day, wearing Templar orders, having these staffs again, and they're celebrating a victory. And on the bottom, it says Primus. And so we finally get the introduction to our new crew and what they're called. They're called the Primus crew. And well, they stick with us all the way up to Black Ops 4. But with that confirmation, we can already guess that this might be an alternate dimension or a new timeline that's completely separate from the other ones. Not fully separate, since we still have Samantha Maxis here. Since during random parts of the game, she talks to us, almost in an ethereal form.
Can you hear me? Please, you have to help me. I'm trapped here. I just want to go home.
Then she asks the main characters to help her escape the realm she is in. Because after the buried Easter egg, apparently she was brought to this realm. And well, she's more helpful this time, as she's not really the same villain as we see in Black Ops 1 or World at War. She wants us to help her. Also too, she recognized the characters, but these characters don't recognize her because they never got introduced to her. This timeline. Because apparently in this timeline she was never born. We get more confirmation with the radios, but right now I'm talking about the environment, and we'll get to the radios in a couple of seconds. So far, that's the map of origins with the environment. Takes more of a World War I feel. And also too, something happens around in the later rounds, as we hear this weird noise. And then so we get introduced to the Panzer, a zombie inside a mech suit. And oh boy, he kicks your ass if you're not paying attention, since ever hearing that noise, that's everyone zombies player's worst nightmare on Origins. Because if you didn't get a good weapon off the box or bought the MP40, well, the Panzer soldier is gonna kick your ass. Because he's one of the most difficult zombie bosses. Yeah, definitely the first time it was scary fighting against this guy. Once again, if you weren't prepared, well, you're in a world of pain now, since he can probably knock out your whole group. With the introduction of the Panzer Soldier, this shows more of the different timeline differences in this world. He has more of a steampunk version to him. So we can already conclude that different technology advancements in this world compared to the other ones, as the other one is a normal world. So this one's not so normal. And also too, in the later rounds too, 2 can spawn at the same time. And so that's the Panzer Soldier. It became everyone's nightmare whenever you played Origins. But also too, there's an extra mechanic on this map where the Templar zombies get into a group and attack the generators. And well, when they attack the generators, it's annoying because sometimes you're half across the map and then you have to go back to generator run and stop them, since well, they disable the generator. But these guys are more of a nuisance because you have to stop whatever you're doing and then go to that generator, since well, you need all the generators to use Pack-a-Punch. I gotta admit, these guys are the least memorable on this map. But one more thing before we get into the radios and into the Easter egg. Since you got the gramophone, you can go to the 4 element rooms. You need the music disc that's specific to that element. But once you get it, you get to open a portal. And you go into this weird crazy place where there's a bunch of Templar zombies. And also to some of the staff elements crystals. But I think that's enough talking about the environment, since I want to go to the radios since we're almost near the end. But before one thing, there's something cool on this map as you can ride the tank. This is one of the most coolest options to do on this map. So with that out of the way, we're going to go to the radios. Again, I'm going to have a time set if you want to skip to me the yapping and to the summary.
The ancient texts describe an artifact known to them as the amplification rod. It is my firm belief this item is instrumental to harnessing the energy of the elemental stones. Unfortunately, neither the rod nor the stones have been recovered from any of our dig sites. I feel we must push forward regardless. As such, I have drawn up plans to create replica rods based on the descriptions from the main chamber. I will instruct Richthofen to begin fabrication immediately. Researching element 115 continues to yield unforeseen results. The conversion process creates localized energy fields, which appear to function as portals, bringing forth objects of indeterminate origin. It is my hypothesis, however outlandish, that this transfer of matter may actually be occurring through space and time. I believe the answer may lay with the broken rune stones located at the mound. Perhaps channeling sufficient energy from the conversion generators to their location may prove fruitful. It is by chance of fate alone that we unlocked the seal to the main chamber. Repeated efforts to use brute force proved ineffective and left the men exhausted and frustrated. In an effort to alleviate the tension, one of the soldiers brought a gramophone to the chamber, along with a recording by a group of performers known as La Source Noire. To our astonishment, as we listened to the first few bars of music, the seal itself began to open. I cannot help but wonder if other such recordings may similarly reveal other areas of the catacombs. When I awoke this morning, I learned of mysterious events that took place during the night. Men working on the installation of the generators reported seeing ancient figures emerging from the mound. I would doubt their story, but for the fact that by morning, many of the men were either dead or missing. When 115 is channeled towards the ancient stones, an energy field appears to drag unknown objects into our reality. Is it possible that element 115 is disrupting the space-time continuum itself? How else could an ancient box created eons ago bring forth weapons from different eras, perhaps including even our own future? Further study is needed to understand these powerful and unpredictable forces. The child's voice calls to me more frequently than ever. At first, she spoke only of her imprisonment in a mythical realm known as Agartha. Now she claims to be my daughter, even though I know no such child exists. I fear my sanity may be slipping away from me.
And with all these recordings, just like with World at War and Black Ops 1, this is the first time that we're being introduced to 115, and Maxis is being introduced to it, since he's experimenting again with 115 again, but for the first time in this timeline. Since all the recordings, it shows that Maxis was messing with 115, and also to his group 2 with Richthofen were messing with it too, and kept exploring the dig site to unlock its secrets. Well, they were super successful as they used 115 to power the generators, which was a huge accomplishment for them since 115 is very great for energy. And also too that one of the soldiers brought the gramophone to some of the dig sites and opened a portal. And well, that's how they got more access to the dig site and to the secrets of it. Of course, being around 115 is not very good for the human body, as some of the people start going a little bit crazy, especially for Maxis since he hears a little girl, which is his daughter Samantha Maxis. But the thing is, he never had a daughter in this timeline. And also too that Samantha Maxis is trapped in Agartha. And well, that's the reason why she's asking us for us to help, since she wants to escape this realm. And also too, she was probably asking her father too, since she thinks this is her father too. But it's not, since she was never born in this timeline. Well, that's how she's able to recognize the characters Maxis and Richthofen about everything, since she's been used to this before. And also too, since they were trying to comprehend the secrets of the dig site, there were some soldiers that went missing after seeing some figures around the dig sites, and also too around building the generators. And some of the men were disappearing, either they got killed or went missing altogether, but most likely they went killed because they're talking about the Templar zombies. And also too, we get the mention of the mystery box, as the mystery box in this map looks totally different from the other ones we've seen before, just like Mob of the Dead. And it has the same characteristics as the box, as it gets every weapon from different eras. And also too, this is the first time Max has discovered that 115 can mess with time, just like he did in the original timeline experiments, so he wants to work with it more. But remember, another thing too is, he's not corrupted in this timeline yet. He hasn't been exposed to that much of 115 yet, so he's still normal. But in conclusion, this confirms that we're in a new timeline. This is a world that never got exposed to 115 yet. They're just barely starting to get into it now. Of course, something goes wrong and then the outbreak happens. And so it is our job for our heroes to stop the outbreak and help Samantha Maxis. Help her escape the realm, and then help her escape Agartha. And so we're gonna transition to the Easter egg. The final Easter egg for Black Ops 2 Zombies. So for this Easter egg for Origins, this is in the same style as the same steps that Reznov said for Vorkuta. Like with the first step, secure the keys. And The rest are in the same exact quotes that Reznov said during the Vorkuta mission. And then so, first, we have to build all the staffs and complete every generator too. And on the same while Samantha Maxis is helping us. That guide us on what to do next, since her father was almost close to freeing her from Agartha. And also too, after painstakingly time building the staffs and upgrading all of them too, we completed step 2. So on to the next step, which is one of the most hardest steps in the Origins Easter egg. And well, this is where I gave up on. So for this Easter egg, you need to get the G-Star egg. You could get it from the box or do something with the tablets and you get it for free. So I did it with the tablets, killing the zombies with melee weapons, and I was able to get the G-Star egg. And then so after that, you have to go inside the robot. More specifically the middle one, since it's more easier to do if you're playing solo. Because I was playing solo when I did the Easter egg, and well, it's more easier with multiple people. And so once you're in the robot, you have to push a button when the countdown's about to drop to 0, before you get ejected. And after that, you have a 20-second time frame in order to throw the G-Star egg in this specific location and break the rubble. But you have to be pinpoint accuracy on landing on the rubble. Because for me, I did it multiple times and it never broke. And well, this is more difficult because only one robot gets to have the button. Only one of the robot's foot lights up. And well, you need to push the button in that specific robot, as they continuously walk through the map. And so for the middle robot, it never lit up for a very long time. I even went into the higher rounds too. And this is the most difficult step ever, because you have a 20-second time frame and well, you get screwed over. In which in my case, I got screwed over a lot, even though I was playing God mode just to get the Easter egg for you guys. For Plutonium, sometimes God mode glitches out when you get outside the robot's foot, since it disables God mode. Before one of my last attempts before I gave up, I managed to hit the same time frame, but it didn't break. I was gonna try again, but my game crashed. Well, I was on a higher round too, so I just gave up doing the Easter egg. This was on solo too, so I'm sorry I didn't get the full Easter egg, but at least I get the cutscene for you guys. And then so I'm gonna skip all the steps because it makes no sense for telling you guys, since I fully didn't do the Easter egg. But during these steps, Samantha Maxis gets to talk to you a lot, and helping you on all the steps, and also to giving some commentary on about the Ancients. Because apparently there was an ancient civilization that messed with 115, and that's why the dig site is there, as apparently this is one of their tombs that they tried to seal off 115 in. But we need to use this tomb and help Samantha Maxis escape Agartha. And so after for the last step, after you build the Maxis drone, since well, Richthofen was able to save Maxis by putting them in this little drone. And so, once you go to the crazy place, and he goes up into the portal, you finally completed the Easter egg for Origins. Freed Samantha, and she promised you a reward. And so, when you ascend to the portal, a cutscene plays.
As the gates to Agartha opened, the 4 heroes were rewarded with riches beyond imagination. From that day forward, they knew that Samantha would keep them safe. Forever.
Getting everything wrong. I told you before their eyes should be blue.
It's my turn, Eddie. I can do whatever I want.
But you don't even know how to play properly. Girls don't know enough about zombies.
What's the choice of it, children? Make sure the windows are locked before you come down to the basement.
We'd better do what your dad says. I didn't even get my turn.
Tomorrow, Eddie. You get to make the rules. I promise. Come on, Fluffy.
I wish the heroes in our stories were real, Sam.
I know what you mean. But we will make everything okay. My dad says he has a plan.
And so, that's the cutscene. One of the most jaw-dropping cutscenes ever in Zombies history. And for the first time too. Because nobody was expecting this. We get an appearance of Samantha Maxis and a much younger version Edward Richthofen. And apparently, this whole time, it was a game. Characters we played and the maps we played were a children's game. Because apparently, Samantha Maxis and the younger version of Edward Richthofen were playing with toys. Well, the toy versions of Primus, Ultimus, and the Victor's crew. And also too, some of the zombies from each map. When I saw this, and many other people saw this too, we were completely perplexed. The whole time it was a children's game. But I know now we know the full story. This was not a child's game. This was part of the BL3 storyline. And also to one of the big jumps in the Aether storyline. When it first came out, this was a huge surprise. Because well, I'm gonna say again, it was a children's game. And well, all of our stories were all made up by these children. So with Black Ops 2, since the next Call of Duty was gonna be Call of Duty Ghosts, this was probably gonna be the last Black Ops game forever. So a lot of people, like me, thought Zombies was done for. This was the last bit, and that was it. No more zombies after this, and no more Black Ops. Of course, all of us were wrong because the 2015 Black Ops 3 released. Just go back in the minds of 2013 and 2012, as we thought this was the last of the Black Ops series and for zombies altogether. It was just a children's game, and that was it. But still in the end, there were still some mysteries that needed to be solved, but probably people back in the day don't want to look at those mysteries since apparently they could attribute it all to a children's game, that these were all many loopholes that these children did to make the storyline how they wanted to. So again, many people thought this was the end. If it was gonna end like this, I would have been fine with it, because I thought also too, this was it and that was no more zombies forever. At least we can play the old classics again. And so that concludes the Easter egg for Origins. Because after this, when you do this Easter egg, the game ends and that's it. You beat Origins. And so, we're almost done with the video, as I want to talk about the closing thoughts of Origins, and also to the closing thoughts for my video, and what I want to do for future Zombies content, and also to other content for the channel. And so, Origins became an instant classic overnight. Many Zombies fans remember fondly of Origins back in the day, and also too for BL3 since it got remastered for that version too. Many people like this map because we got reintroduced to our characters again. There's a lot of fun things to do around the map, and a lot of ways to mess with our friends. Well, back in the day, some people thought this was a good send-off for Zombies. So ended with a bang with a huge revelation that this was once again a child's game. But of course in the future later installments it was not really a child's game, this was all reality. But once again, look back in 2013 and 2012 when you were a kid and that this was the end for Zombies. This was it and no more. Zombies ended with BO2. And most likely we were probably not going to get another Zombies games for a while, but of course we did. For the next game for Call of Duty Ghosts, we got an Extinction mode which uses aliens instead of zombies, and then for Advanced Warfare we got Exo Zombies. And also too, since I mentioned those two modes, I'm gonna talk about them in later future videos. But anyways, this concludes Black Ops 2 Zombies as it ends with Origins, and that was it. And if we end off with Black Ops 2, it would have been a good send-off. And then so, thank you guys for reaching to the end of the video. Really appreciate it, but I'm still in the process of a voice recording and editing it, so I'm not sure how long the video may be. I think I'm guessing around it's more longer than my Black Ops 1 Zombies video. I'll wait until I see it when I upload it and edit it. I'd like to thank all of my subscribers. I can't believe I'm saying that, kind of seems cringy when I'm saying that, but I'd like to thank you all for being with me through this journey. As well, a lot of you guys joined in when I made that World at War video of what made it terrifying. And also too with my future videos with Batman Arkham Asylum of what that made scary, and also too with Black Ops 1, and also too some of my extra stuff that some of you might not have watched. But I don't care if you guys haven't seen that, I just all I care about if you guys are having fun and well watching my videos and you're enjoying them too. Also too, I'd like to re-apologize again for taking a long time doing the videos and not uploading as much. I got busy with life, but now I'm on break so I'm able to do stuff now. And I'm gonna do more focus on break on focusing on this channel and doing more future video projects. Well, I'm gonna give a hint for the next video since the next one's gonna be about Doom 3. Since for some time, I'm not gonna be touching about zombies for a very long time. So I feel like I did too much Zombies videos in quite of a quick succession, and I kinda wanna branch out and do extra stuff that I find very interesting to talk about, since that's the main focus of my channel. I mostly talk about stuff what I find interesting, and that's the main whole idea for my channel. Since for my very first video, well, I talked about a really old Bible game and it was a strategy game, and that's how I started my journey as a YouTuber. And I didn't think I was gonna hit 1,000 subs when I made a World at War and the Black Ops 1 video. And I'd like to say thank you all guys for subscribing and for sticking with me throughout the journey. And I will promise that I'll continue to keep doing YouTube. It became a fun hobby to do, and I will continue on doing it more. There's a lot of you guys, and I see in the comments that you like my videos with the Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 and other extra stuff. Well, it gives me more encouragement to do more videos. But to me, I don't care about the views. All I care about is that if some of you guys are having fun watching my videos and are being more informative, and well, looking back on the times when old games were used to be good. Also too, if you guys want to learn some extra stuff too. I'm having a lot of fun doing YouTube. I didn't think I was going to hit 1,000 subs and get some of a small audience. It's really cool that happened because back in the day, I never thought I was going to do this stuff. And again, thank you guys for subscribing. And also too, if some of the new subscribers are making it here to the end of the video. And well, thank you all for subscribing and liking and also making comments too. You guys are really encouraging me to do more stuff, and I will do more stuff too. And also due to that, because I'm more of an amateur YouTuber, I've been getting more good with my editing and also too how to voice record and do some of my stuff now. And due to that, I'm probably going to remake some of my old videos too, and or do a remaster of them too. As for my old videos, especially the World at War video, I have them all on a mono track for my voice recordings. I didn't know about this, and while people talked about it when I gained a more sizable audience, well, I have fixed that mistake since the Black Ops 2 video. And thank you guys for correcting my mistake on that. I'm still new to this and I'm still learning as I go. And then so I will redo those videos in the future, especially for the zombies video too, since I'm gonna remake the World at War video and combine all the zombies videos with Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 all into one video, into a full package, and I will remaster some of the things I want, since some of the things I edited in I'm not really proud of and I want to redo them again. So one day I'm gonna upload a video of all the zombies videos combined together, of the series I created of what made old zombies terrifying, since I wanted to look back on the nostalgia of what made zombies horror-like, especially for the Black Ops 1 video and the World at War video too, since a lot of you guys really enjoyed it. Both videos have the longest views and are one of my 2 popular videos on my channel. And well, thank you all for watching those videos too. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not in it for the view game. I'm in it for it because I want to talk about what I find interesting. And well, I want to share it for you guys and for YouTube altogether. So once again, I know I keep saying it, thank you all for watching. Before I end my video, I want to give one shout out to one of my viewers. That viewer is MigMissile3612. He's been here since the Black Ops 1 video, and well, he commented about the video saying he enjoyed it, and well, he said too that he was gonna buy me Black Ops 2, but I declined his offer since that I feel bad for someone to buy me a game that I could really buy on my own. As I responded to him, I thanked him for the offer, but again, I declined it. I could buy the games on my own. You guys don't have to really buy them for me. The only thing I ask for is to keep watching my videos. That's all I ask for. That's it. And also too, shout out to all the original viewers that have been here since my first video, which was the Bible strategy game. Thank you for watching my videos, as I think I'm doing a good job on it. Or I think I am. I am in it just for the fun. And then so, I think I yapped for too long, and here's my usual outro. Hope you guys have a nice day. This is Mazer Argo signing out. See you guys in the next video. And once again, thanks for watching.